Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday show. My name is James Chen, and I am joined by...
Hey, I'm Walter David.
Uh,
Thanks for having me over yet again. It's cool to be sitting here next to you where I am.
of course, yes. How's it going? It seems like you're not wearing a hoodie today. I was surprised when
I'm
you walked
not.
when you
Yeah, it's
walked in
nice
the...
and warm in Los Angeles, so no
Yeah.
need. As you know,
and
quite warm here.
I was surprised when you walked in the door and were, hoodieless here. It's very interesting. So,
Yeah, it's a little unusual, but like I said, it's pretty warm, and I'm sure you're feeling that yourself.
yeah, absolutely. So, all right, cool. Well, I don't know. I mean, so obviously warm weather. There's been theories that it might help, but against obviously the virus stuff. But I don't think that that's actually a thing. But we'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see.
we'll see. That's something that is theorized because it's happened like that in the past. But that doesn't mean that it's going to be like that in the future or with this one. That's not very well tested. And by the way, about half the Earth, is on the other side of the hemisphere from us.
Right.
You know how that works? And
Yep.
there are still some cases in that part of the world too. So it may not actually work like that.
Exactly. So, but obviously, COVID-19 continues to, make its way through the FGC, causing all sorts of, unfortunate news and bad situations. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you want to get started talking about some of that?
Sure. Yeah. All right. So I mean, that's part of what we're going to talk about. Obviously, we're going to talk about a couple of tournaments that happened. Not very much offline, as you know, but there still were some events that took place, at least on the internet. We'll get to some topics on 5-5 matchup. I think we have some interesting ones that were proposed today, as well as one that we're going to talk about. Some game news. Things continue to happen in the fighting game side of things, in the actual games, and then there's community news to talk about as well. But yeah, we'll start by talking about the biggest news, which continues, of course, to be COVID-19 related cancellations and postponements.
Yeah, unfortunately, one by one, a lot of the big major events that we've all been kind of looking forward to are going down. And unfortunately, this morning, I wasn't even aware about it until just recently, that Combo Breaker has been canceled now. So that's probably the biggest one of all the events, because obviously Combo Breaker is considered by many group of people to be their favorite fighting game event of the year. And it's always been a lot of fun, and it was going to be a new venue, bigger size, Combo Breaker, even more Combo Breaker this year. And unfortunately, they said, they believe it's the right decision. I agree with them, but they're going to cancel the event.
Right. It is canceled. It's a huge bummer, of course. I think you're right to say that this is one of the events that people like the most. It's one of my favorite events and has been for many years. And I always look forward to it for many reasons. I like hanging out with the people who are there and who come there from other parts of the country and the world. And they run it very well, and there's a lot to do from a gamer perspective. It hasn't been in an area where there's a lot to do, but there's just been a 24-hour venue. Lots of companies come to show things off. There's 1,000 games being played and multiple different places where you can watch and play them. It's just a really, really great event, and I really like the people who run it, and so I'm sad. Of course, it's the right call. But I'm sad because I would have liked to have gone. I'm also sad for the people involved. Like I said, they're friends of mine, and I know that this has been a very difficult decision.
Financially,
It makes sense, of course, but it's still a tough one.
Yeah, I mean the nice thing that I saw was that the site mentioned that they are working with the government, and they talked to the government about it. So it sounds like at least, maybe they have some sort of force majeure kind of case where they're not going to hopefully be financially put into ruins by this whole entire thing. And you mentioned too, I was super looking forward to this year because I've never been in the Chicago proper area, the city area. And you had mentioned in the past there wasn't much to do around the venue, but that was going to change this year, that we were going to be able to explore Chicago and and stuff. And I had even thought about maybe sticking around for a day or two just so I can have fun in Chicago for first time, ever. Because, like I said, I've never really been in the Windy City area. I've always been, every time I've gone to Chicago, it's always been, I then travel to Frosty Faustings, or then I travel to, Combo Breaker, and they're not quite in there, so.
Yeah, well, that's how Combo Breaker was going to be this year. It was going to be in Schaumburg, which is a suburb, and is not closer to the city of Chicago than
Frosty's. Really? Oh,
yeah, it wasn't
okay.
going to be in the city of Chicago.
Oh, dang, I thought it was. Okay, that's my mistake.
No, it was going to be closer to the airport, which is great. Going to be closer to O'Hare, but it wasn't going to be in the city of Chicago. That said, in that area where there's the Schaumburg Convention Center, there is more stuff going on because you're not in the absolute mega boonies like the Desert Run Resort is.
Right.
But yeah, you're not in Chicago, right? I mean, in any case, it would have been closer to the city. Yeah, it would have been great. I was looking forward to it personally because this was going to be the first major that I would have entered a tournament.
That's right.
Evo 2012.
That's right.
Was the last time that I entered a major. I've talked many times about what's been going on. I had all sorts of nerve and joint problems and things that persist, but that I've been able to figure out ways to address and not to entirely overcome. I don't think that'll ever happen, but I have been able to address them enough that I have enough control over my execution, over my hands, which is not how it was in the past, that I feel that I can play games again.
Right.
And so I have been playing games again, and I've been entering locals, and I was ramping up, and the intention was to enter Combo Breaker as my first one. And then after that, to make that a regular practice, but I figured that Combo Breaker would make sense just as a timeline. I think it made sense for me. Late May would have given me more time to feel secure in my hands. It would have been more time to feel like I've relearned how to play games.
More time for you to learn. I really
like Combo Breaker, and I know it's run really well. So I felt like that was a good one to start out on. And when I signed up for it, just the feeling of signing up was such a cathartic feeling. It was almost overwhelming. It was like this was the beginning of the end of me feeling like I'm out in fighting game wilderness, and I have this weird perspective of like I'm looking down on it because I'm commentating, but I'm not like in it really anymore.
Right.
And I felt like I could be, and that was going to be what I felt like was the start, was Combo Breaker. So I felt like I had a lot riding on that, but I still, of course, they made the right call, right? So I'm not upset at them in the slightest. It's that it's a terrible situation, and I'm glad that they've made the choice that they've made, and I think that's right health-wise, and it sucks.
It's an unfortunate situation, and it's tough for a lot of people because like some people are mentioning in the chat that Combo Breaker was kind of could be Evo for MK11. It's the Evo for Killer Instinct and for Skullgirls and for a lot of communities out there, and so that's rough. I mean, your story, obviously, like, I get where you're coming from because you're really sad that you can't go there anymore to compete, but it's the right decision. But, it's just an example of, oh, God, the cat, oh, no, destroying the illusion.
She walked behind me. What do you mean? It was
okay. That's right. It walked on air behind you. Exactly.
Yeah.
But, it was just, it's a good anecdote to how much Combo Breaker means to a lot of people, and how much it was, that a lot of people, personally were going to be looking forward to the event. So, that's just that's a good, it's a good indication, basically. But see, now that the illusion has been ruined here, I can go.
What do you mean?
I want to name you. So someone on the YouTube comments came up with the best name possible, and I'm really disappointed in myself that I didn't come up with it myself. But they called him David Hologram, and I was just like, man, how did I not come up with David Hologram?
It's a really good one.
I know, right? I mean, it's just like I'm so disappointed in myself. that I didn't come up with that on my own. So, but there you go. So yeah, But, you know, I don't know what I'm talking about because clearly you are here, so, you know.
Yeah, I've instead actually appeared there and tried my best to make it seem like I'm kind of being shady about it and a little bit 2D, but that took a lot of makeup work, folks. That wasn't for nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
That was difficult.
You know, there's
Stuff.
this...
I purposely made my face extremely washed out on purpose, as if there's a light very close to my face right now. Like, there's not, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, like,
come on.
there's this event that took place in Southern California, in Laguna Beach, I think it was, called Pageant of the Masters, where they put makeup
Correct.
on people in a specific way, and then they pose like paintings, and then they shine this light, and they look completely 2D all of a sudden. That's what we did to you. We put on all the makeup, you know, and shine this magic light on you, so now you look like you're 2D, but actually you're 3D. So, and your hand
And I
is
did it all
not
myself
actually...
because we, of course, maintained self-isolation. So, you're welcome, everybody. I spent a lot of time on this. So, look, Combo Breaker being canceled is that was the one that many of us kept talking about, wasn't it? X tournaments canceled. Well, do you think Combo Breaker is going to be okay? Y tournaments canceled. Do you think Combo Breaker is going to be okay? We talked about this a lot. I mean, we talked about this on the show. Do you think Combo Breaker is going to be okay? We've been talking about it because it does have this role in the scene of being so popular, of being very community focused. And, you know, now to know that it is canceled is... I feel like we're not going to have offline events this year, I guess, is now how I'm feeling.
Combo Breaker was definitely kind of like the starting domino of the major events, right?
Yes.
Because, you know, if Combo Breaker happened, that means CEO and Evo were going to be safe, you know?
Right.
But now that Combo Breaker is down, now, you know, I think everybody's probably being very realistic that CEO and Evo are probably going to be done as well.
They are probably going to be done as well. I think that's true. I mean, the Olympics are already postponed, and that was going to take place at around the same period of time. You know,
that's right. CEO is looking at trying to get delayed potentially till December.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there.
I don't know. Is that going to cut it?
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Is December
really?
even going to be good enough of a time? We don't even know at this point.
We really don't know. Another tournament that got canceled was Viennality. That was supposed to take place July 3rd to 5th in Vienna, Austria. July 3rd to 5th in Vienna, Austria. So that's been set back now. And their statement is that they will not take place then. And that, you know, they say if we have more news to share, we'll talk about it. But even for them, they're not postponing it. I mean, maybe they are, but they're not explicitly saying that they're postponing it. It's just not going to take place now. And if July isn't going to happen, like, what real justification is there for CEO in June to happen instead?
Right. And not only that, but just looking at the trends of the virus itself, we have surpassed 150,000 cases. We can't even talk about how many are not documented. I mean, I forgot if we even talked about the players who got hit by COVID last week. I don't think we had a chance, or did we talk about that? I can't even remember if we talked about like L.I. Joe and Dr. Stance and all those guys getting hit by COVID. But, you know, I talked with Flux, and, you know, he was massively sick. He's 90% sure that he got it, but he wasn't diagnosed with it. He's not going to be on that number of confirmed cases because it was all happening within his own home and his own experience. How many people do we not, you know, that are going through it that way that we don't have that information for? And so it's not slowing down. It's ramping up, and, you know, it's getting worse. Like, our curve is like skyrocketing at this point in time, and it's absolutely terrifying. And do I expect it to be done by December? We all could be doing this our self-quarantining for the rest of the year, frankly. I would like to hope that it is solved by like October or November, right? Realistically, it could definitely be taken care of by then. Do I want to have that kind of hope, or do I want to prepare for having all the way through 2020 to be self-quarantined? My brain is already kind of like, yeah, we're probably going to be self-quarantining for the entire year. And I'd almost kind of rather just have that in my brain than to believe that we'll be fine by October. You know, it's just kind of the way it works.
Yeah, I saw somebody on Twitter today. I won't blow them up, but they said that it was, although, sad, disappointing to see that Combo Breaker had been officially canceled. At the same time, it put the question to rest, and there's value in that, at least, right? To not have it be up in the air. It would have been great if it could have taken place, but there is a little bit of me that's like a little relieved to just have finality on it, just to know, and now I can plan, at least, right? It's not what I wanted to have planned for, but I at least can plan, and there's that, at least. So I'm not, as far as whether we're going to be cooped up all year, that there's just too much speculation to say for that. But at least with things that are closer to where we are in time, at least we can be a little bit more, just be able to plan and be able to set reasonable expectations for ourselves, rather than to think, worst case scenario is what happened with Final Combat LCQ, where, everybody flew there, everybody was there, and it was canceled the day before. That, to avoid that kind of just worst case kind of unfortunate situation, which, I mean, look, it was the right call for them to call it off, right? But just the timing of it is something that I hope that we don't go through again. So I'd rather know as early as possible, just be sure, be able to sort of plan my weekends instead, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so as far as what Combo Breaker is doing, no tournament, but they are going to do other stuff, and I think that they're handling this really, really well. So they will be sending people some gifts, and if you go to their website, they have a little status update. They're going to be giving everybody a Combo Breaker pin, a 50-page commemorative magazine, a No Coast, No Kings lanyard, which is their slogan, and then a Combo Breaker 2020 Struck Through badge. So the badge is Combo Breaker, and then 2020 with the 2020, like, with a strike through.
Oh, jeez.
Which I love it. I would love to just have that anyway. I think that's great. Like,
yeah.
that's just.
I mean, I haven't actually entered
like
because I was going to work it, but I'm going to have to ask to see if I can collect some of the stuff too. I'm going to have to talk
That's right, yeah.
I'm going to have to talk to Rick and be like, hey, as a non-competitor, but person who is going to work there, can I pick up some of this stuff?
Like we've talked with, for other tournaments, like, for example, Final Round, said that it couldn't afford to refund everything. They gave a set refund. Other events said that they couldn't give a refund. Similar sort of situation here, right? So Combo Breaker is going to give everybody a refund.
Yeah.
Because they're being too nice about it. I'm serious. I wish that, well, not I wish, but just for the sake of my friends, like, I wanted them to just get their, not have to refund everybody, or to just, like, pick a number and be like, well, this is where we can, like, avoid losing $100,000 at whatever this amount of refund is, like something like Final Round did, right? Just come up with, like, a number that they can refund people.
Right.
Instead, what they're doing is they're refunding everybody's registration. And if you don't want them to do that, if you'd like them to keep your money, then you have to let them know.
Right.
And look, I don't want to give any judgment either way. I'm planning to let them keep my registration, but certainly we all know that money's tight and in a bad situation. And if you need that money back, or even if not just need, right? But if you think it's, like, reasonably prudent in your situation for you to get your refund, please, do it. Do what's good and safe for you. But if you can afford to not do that, if you can afford to leave the money in Combo Breaker's hands, I really think that's something to consider, because they're not going to come out of this without a monetary loss, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's just a question of how much it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing about that is they also are selling extra things. Like, some people in the chat have already talked about buying a commemorative coin, to help support them. They're selling a commemorative Combo Breaker coin. So there are ways that you can support them, even if you do just want to donate and help out. And like I said, the thing that made me feel comfortable, I don't know if you know more about it than I do, but the fact that they did mention that they do have government help on closing this down. So hopefully they do have a little bit of force majeure. Hopefully the hotel isn't kind of putting them on the hook for all this money and things like that, because we've already seen Michigan Masters, get completely KO'd, from their cancellation, that it was too much money. They couldn't recover a lot of that money. They even ran a tournament this past weekend where they ran an online uni tournament, and the winners got the medals that they had made for Michigan Masters, and it was kind of a way to help recoup some of those losses for them. But I don't think that's going to happen with Combo Breaker. I mean, obviously, if everything can be fine by 2021, I expect Combo Breaker to come back in full force. The revenge of Combo Breaker. They should. You know what they should call 2021? They should call it Counter Breaker.
Wow. Okay.
That would actually be awesome. I'm gonna talk.
I can't speak to the government or anything like that, but in their statement, they do talk about Combo Breaker 2021. Like, for example, I'm reading it right now. Proceeds from merchandise sales will help Combo Breaker recoup development costs and help ensure that we are able to deliver the 2021 event experience you expect and deserve. So it looks like they're pretty confident in saying that they will be able to make it happen.
Of course.
So that's good. And like you said, you can go to combobreaker.org. They are selling stuff there, including a little coin where you can sort of name your price, aka donate, right, if you want to. But in addition, they are doing a Combo Breaker retrospective stream. And this is something that I think is really cool. So Hold Back to Block and Team Spooky and Sejam hosting, and they're going to have a 3-day retrospective broadcast where they stream famous matches that happened there and talk about special moments that happened there, and they're asking people to take part in this by sending their favorite videos and photos of whatever happened there, or their story. If you want to tell a story on stream about what happened, you can send that video to them as well, and you can send that to info@combobreaker.org, and they're gonna put together a 3-day stream on that same weekend that Combo Breaker was supposed to happen, May 22nd to 24th. So I think this is great. This is something that the other events that have been canceled have not done to this sort of degree, right?
Right.
They still have the store up. They still have a stream that's going to happen, and I love that. I think that's a very smart move.
I mean, look, Rick is a freaking genius. I mean, he's one of the best when it comes to ideas, and also another thing is that his heart is in the right place when he's doing all of these things, and I'm not surprised that he keeps coming up with amazing ideas like this. I think that's really, really awesome. And so I'm sure a lot of people will get together, watch the stream, and just, have a good time reminiscing about Combo Breaker. Online.
Get together online, right?
Yeah. So, again, I wouldn't be surprised if more awesome stuff continued to be, thought up. Even in the next coming months, in the next coming few weeks, that he's going to come up with more ideas. So,
well, if I was somebody who had a tournament that can't run anymore and I had to cancel, I would totally just copy this idea. I would do the same thing, of course. I would definitely do that now.
Yeah.
I think that's a really smart idea. And again, unfortunate that it needed to be thought up, but at least they're going to have something. I don't know if that's going to be like financially important or whatever.
No.
Probably not, I would think. But
it's not.
It's a good way to keep them in everybody's mind. It's a good way to keep the community goodwill going. It's still really useful, I think. For them.
And it's good to kind of claim that weekend still.
Yes, that's true.
Just to say, look, we're still here. We're not going to go anywhere. You can be confident that whenever this is resolved, that Combo Breaker will return. If it's 2021, if it's 2022, whatever the situation is. I mean, I'm not even going to sit here and pretend that 2021 is a guarantee at this point, because again, like I said, the biggest problem, the biggest concern, obviously, right now, the bigger picture of everything is just the incredible rate that we've both tweeted out that little infographic that showed how much the confirmed cases has grown. And the biggest concern really is, I mean, someone was like, oh, do you really believe in the numbers that China? I was like, I don't care. This is not a contest. We're not doing comparison here. My concern is that one period of time where the U.S. kind of goes, and then all of a sudden it just goes boom. Like, it's just like it seriously Usain Bolts its way, into the 100,000s. And that's the concern, because we're now at 150,000 confirmed cases, and it's not going to get any better anytime soon. And
no.
Especially because people just are not. I mean, you saw that the ships were coming into New York, and then there was this giant crowd of people that were all taking photos out there, and you're just like, what are you doing? Oh man, I just don't know. Oh, is a cat attacking your green screen? Is
it my aura?
That's Nathan down there that you're staring at. It's my cat.
Nathan's getting at my aura.
Yeah. Nathan is attacking.
Around a little bit. Come on, Nathan.
Yeah, exactly. Stop it, Nathan. Stop it, Nathan.
Nathan.
Oh.
Nathan.
Oh.
Nathan, don't do that again.
Nathan looks really different today.
Nathan changed a little bit.
Yeah,
Nathan he's got a wardrobe change.
Whoa! Hey, Nathan, move that tail over here. Move that tail.
Aww. So, Combo Breaker being canceled is probably the biggest individual thing that happened today. I don't want to let Vianality go by without us talking about it a little bit more. It's one of the most unique majors, in my opinion. It takes place in an absolutely unique place in the heart of Vienna, Austria, in an old building that's been there for 150 years, essentially across the street from world-famous museums. It's really, really cool and fun and awesome city. And it has a scene that doesn't really get much airtime, When we go there, when I've been there, I've seen people do really well who I just don't get to see because they can travel to some extent in Austria or Central Europe, but they don't get anywhere else. And so this is like one of the few times of the year that I get to see people in several different games who are talented and really strong,
right.
Show their stuff. So, I know the guys who run Vianality. They're super cool. They were, very hopeful that they could run it still, but I guess, obviously things have changed and not able to. But in the future, I'm sure they'll try to hold it again, and it really is a tournament that I recommend.
Oh, yeah. I mean, again, obviously Combo Breaker is a beloved tournament and everything, and we're going to spend a lot of time, talking about that one, but it isn't fair for a lot of the other events to not give them also the same kind of, attention and, solace that they're being canceled as well, because while Combo Breaker is one of the biggest ones, one of the main ones, the FGC lives and breathes and thrives on the smaller events as well, the ones that can become Combo Breakers in the future, and then newer tournaments will replace those tournaments, and that's kind of the hope, really. Those small events are the ones that are servicing the areas that don't have as many events, that are really able to build up the smaller communities that do exist out there. And so, stuff like Vianality, I mean, what a wonderful location, awesome European tournament. And it actually probably is, maybe, I don't know, you've been there, obviously I haven't, but is it like one of the bigger events in Europe, or is it still kind of a small event to you?
It's certainly one of the biggest in Central Europe.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so, obviously one of the more important events in Central Europe, so Again, it's tough, and those aren't the only ones that are being canceled, right? There's a couple of other ones that have been announced for
Well,
cancellations.
maybe larger stuff, as to say, like not individual events. The Arc World Tour is canceled
Oh yeah,
for 2020. I don't mean for half the year. I mean like it's over. It's not going to happen, I guess, really more accurately, because it was supposed to have started at final round, I think, but that's not going to happen. And that's we were talking just a little bit ago about how we're not sure how long this will last, and I think that they maybe just didn't want to take a risk of announcing that they'd be back on for the next half of the year, and then they might have had to announce that they couldn't have done that after all. In addition, again, I appreciate just being able to plan and knowing what's going to happen, even if it's bad news. I would rather know that there aren't going to be events on the Arc World Tour rather than thinking like, well, maybe they'll announce it starting up in a month or two. Like, I just want to know. And so they did. They announced that.
And it's better for them too, because now they don't have to sit around going, well, okay, let's juggle this, let's plan this, and maybe we should look into this. They can just be like, all right. And and I saw Zotbuster tweet about it. He works directly. He's from the the anime scene here in Southern California. He was part of the UCI team a long time ago. Big strong fighting game scene in Southern California. He now works for ArcSys. He had been putting blood, sweat, and tears into trying to make the Arc Revo World Tour work this year. And, I know how disappointed that he is to have to cancel it, but at the same time, hopefully this does give him a little bit of closure as well. And not only that, but, maybe then next year Arc Revo World Tour comes back and they can just go all in on Guilty Gear Strive now, because
that's true.
This game is going to be coming out. It's going to have the rollback net code. It'll give them some time to perfect the net code, because it'll probably come out with bugs, because that's just the way that software works. And then once it comes out, they perfect it, and then this online community for Strive really starts to grow. That'll be a good way to ring in Arc Revo World Tour, is just to have this, knock on wood, fingers crossed, hopefully giant, Guilty Gear Strive scene ready to go at it. And I think that would be super exciting to see. So, I'm trying to see the silver lining in a lot of these things. I'm trying to see the silver lining in a lot of this stuff. And, obviously a lot of people are like sad for Granblue Fantasy Versus, but, who knows, maybe even... I don't know. Maybe we'll have more characters in the game, and have a larger scene for the game at that point as well. But it's
I don't know. I'm also right. People are in the chat are talking about it now. Yeah, it's tough for BB Tag.
Yeah, BB Tag is the one that's going to get hurt.
This year was supposed to have been Granblue Fantasy Versus and BB Tag. Those are the two games on the Arc World Tour. And now that it's not going to happen this year, it's very tough to imagine that the next year they will have, both of those games again, as well as Strive. For sure, they're going to have Strive. Absolutely, right?
I think there's
they'll probably continue to have Granblue Fantasy Versus.
Yeah, I think there's almost a zero.
They won't have BB Tag.
I think that there's going to be almost a 0% chance that Granblue Fantasy Versus won't be in next year.
Yeah.
But BB Tag is definitely a tough one, because it's really just dependent on whether ArcSys wants to. Put in the resources to do both at the same time,
Yeah, I do think, I don't want to oversell, and we might talk about this on 5.5, but I don't want to oversell BB Tag as being dead as a result. No. It's just very unfortunate for, a scene that is still there, that was going to have a bunch of great opportunities for themselves. And that's players and its commentators and its people who like to watch. Any number of different roles, and it's unfortunate that that kind of thing happens. Again, doesn't mean the game is dead or that the scene is dead. It is a big lost opportunity, though.
Yeah, and that's the tough thing about.
There are two ways to handle this. It could be like Marvel Infinite, which a lot of people had hopes riding on, right? A lot of players and commentators, and folks in the scene, et cetera, et cetera. And it just didn't happen. And or it could be like other games that manage to persist and to stick around. It could be like Skullgirls. I mean, this is really up to the scene, and I just don't want to make a pronouncement early that it's going to go one way or the other. I'm rooting for the game. I really like it.
Yeah, cool. And I mean, some people are saying that there might even still be more content coming because they did announce a couple of other fates, that were supposedly... Jasmine, stop sticking your head inside David, please. Don't...
No, it's cool. She's just smelling my armpit. Hey, don't worry, Jasmine.
Okay.
I took a shower before I came over.
Okay. I was surprised about that, too. No, just kidding. No, but I mean, look, there's no reason to also think confidently that BB Tag won't be in the Arc Revo World Tour. I mean, they have every reason to keep putting it in there. It's hard to organize 3 games as opposed to 2, but if you're doing 2, you have the resources, obviously, to do 3. You can have one website for it, one schedule, one all that stuff. So I think they could still definitely do it. So hopefully it remains in the World Tour.
Well, okay, so there's the cancellation. Just as further note, they did say that they might do Arc Revo Japan and Arc World Tour Finals as standalone events. Currently, Arc Revo Japan is planned for July 18th.
Right.
Maybe at that point, you could have events again. I think that I'm not confident about that, but they said maybe, right? They're considering it.
Also,
and then by the end of the year, Arc World Tour Finals... Mm-hmm. Maybe at that point they could have a standalone event as well. They're thinking about it.
Yeah, and also, there is the possibility that they could do their Arc Revo Japan online. They could actually do that. So, I mean, we just saw, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but the Granblue event that took place this weekend as well, their infrastructure is obviously strong enough that they can handle a lot of the delay-based net code. So maybe they can still just do an online event for Arc Revo Japan, just as a fun exhibition, as something that people can actually watch and still, have a good time with fighting games that way.
The other big cancellation is the first half of the Capcom Pro Tour this year. It was supposed to have been in like seasons or something, halves essentially, and the first one is out of here.
Yeah.
So that was an announcement that came last Wednesday, I believe. And again, not a big surprise because they did this thing this year of kind of having seasons, halves of the Pro Tour. I think it does kind of make sense that they would just say like, yeah, it's, this part of this, the first half's not going to happen. They say that the second half of the CPT is scheduled to resume in July, but again, keep going back to this, just don't know if that's going to happen.
Right. And so, it's like I said, I'm not going to sit here and, plan on a second half. Let's just put it that way.
I think that's right. Well, you mentioned, and I just wanted to home in back in on it, that some FGC members have had it. They have had COVID.
Yes.
Li Joe was in a bad spot for a little while with it. Dr. Stance in Southern California, so that's in New York. Flux, you mentioned, probably had it. Although Li Joe's was confirmed, but Flux probably. And Dr. Stance in Los Angeles was confirmed to have had it, and he was in the hospital for like 10 days.
Yeah.
And he, had to get a chest X-ray because of pneumonia, and he was in a bad place. And I mean, these are people who are late 20s to mid 30s. Those folks, and none of them, as far as I know, with any significant underlying health issues. I mean, Joe and Dr. Stans in particular are like, they work out. I mean, they're healthy folks, and they got it. And Louis Man in the Dominican Republic.
Does
it? I haven't heard about the culmination of that, but he sounded really worried on Twitter that he just wasn't being taken care of well enough. I hope that changed.
Well,
I haven't heard.
Louis Man caught it?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I didn't see that one. Okay.
He did. And then I mean, most unfortunately, Romeo Castillo Jr., aka 2101 UK, passed away
Yeah.
um, due to COVID-19. He's a player in the UK. I mean, I didn't know him personally, but Fire UK put on Twitter that this happened, said that he's known Romeo for 20 years, and that it only took 4 days to take him away. And again, I didn't know him personally, but that's terrifying and extremely sad. And my thoughts go out to all of his family and friends, and that's sort of a fighting game centric window onto it. But that kind of thing is happening all over the place to all sorts of people right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot, and there's probably a lot more fighting game players that we're not even aware of right now that have it.
Sure.
One that maybe, they're just in an area, or that, they don't have enough contact with a bunch of other people. I mean, how many fighting game players live in SoCal that I haven't talked to in forever? Who knows what's been going on with a lot of these guys. And so, it hurts, obviously, when it affects our own scene, but this is happening everywhere. And and it's cool. I mean, it's so weird to say this, and I only say this because Li Joe kind of agrees with it too. But like, if someone major in the FGC was gonna catch it, Li Joe was kind of like the perfect person, because he is so beloved, and it really kind of puts a very big focus on it. That look, he's healthy, he's capable of still catching this, and he even obviously he's still suffering from it, because he said he hasn't tweeted a lot about it because he just doesn't want to be a downer. So he's still suffering from it and things like that. But he's managed to show videos of his family celebrating his birthday through FaceTime and stuff, and
Right.
there is a lot of feel good out of it, and it shows that you can survive it. But then you have these cases where obviously it is going to claim a lot of the fighting game players out there, and this is not going to be the last of it, unfortunately. No. I'm just being realistic about it.
No, you're right.
And even to the point where I was talking about this on my own stream. I mean, how like in the middle of the night, sometimes when you're in that half sleep state, you just can't think logically or clearly at all. I woke up in the middle of the night 2 days ago, and my body was really sore, and I just felt like I couldn't breathe particularly well, and I was just like, well, that's it. I've caught the virus, and I'm done, and kind of thing like that. And I was like, oh shoot, so how am I going to handle this situation? Where did I catch it? And I was just like thinking about it. I fell asleep, I woke up, I was still a little sore, but other than that, I had no symptoms, and today I feel fine. So, obviously, like I said, there was a little bit of hypochondriacing going on there, but, it's just, it's a realistic scenario, because,
Sure.
all these, you can do everything that you want to try to social distance and to self-quarantine. I'm still going out. I'm still buying fast food every once in a while. Who knows what's going on with any of those, people in the fast food joints and everything, and I'm still going to the grocery store every once in a while. I have to, we went.
Yeah, I mean, there's a degree that you must engage with people.
Yeah.
It cannot be zero, or you'll die. If you go out to get groceries, then that can come up. If you don't go out to get groceries, and instead you order them online, and somebody comes and delivers them to you, but that person had it and their hands have been all over the thing, there's just a degree to which you can't avoid it.
Yeah.
At some
I mean,
point.
the nice thing about it is
best practices to avoid. Wash your hands, obviously, often. But yeah, at some point, the amount of contact between you and other people, it just can't be zero.
Right. I mean, me and Olaf also, we chose to try to support like some of our favorite local places as well, takeout. So, we were exposed to people in that situation. The nice thing is, I don't know if you saw the video, but Trevor Noah from The Daily Show had a chance to interview Dr. Anthony Fauci. And he, it was just a straight up, very serious kind of interview. And one of the things that Fauci said, though, was that, the virus does have a larger chance of surviving on plastic surfaces and things like that, but on like cardboard paper surfaces, not as much.
Okay.
So, things like Amazon packages you don't have to be as concerned about. But obviously, as a doctor, he's going to say that's what we know. But obviously, still you're better off taking the precautions that you can do. So.
Of course, yeah. Don't take the fact that you can't have zero contact with people to mean to take a defeatist attitude. That's not.
Yeah. Obviously, in the chat too from Gunnasher, obviously the envelopes that are plastic, those kind of things. If it's the boxes, maybe not as much, but even still, the stuff in the boxes, you might even have to be a little worried about as well, because the stuff can live on plastic for days.
Yeah. I mean, again, there's a limit to what you can do. You just continue to do things like washing your hands and clean surfaces that you use often, and after you handle things, even if they have been delivered to you, like wash your hands.
Yeah.
There's certainly still stuff you can do. Anyway, we're stuck in this situation. But things haven't changed for me since we talked last week. I mean, I've been home. I don't think that I've been out more than twice. I think I went to the grocery store maybe only once since last we talked. And other than that, I've gone on walks a few times just by myself, and haven't run into anybody in doing so.
Mm-hmm.
Not many people are even taking walks now, and so I'm not concerned about the sort of social distancing aspect for that. But yeah, I've been basically indoors and doing a little bit of work and sitting around with my cats and wife. That's basically the last week.
I mean, my problem right now is I've actually run out of a lot of supplies, so I need to run back to the grocery store pretty soon. So, but hardest part is if you go at night, that's when most of the grocery stores is gone at that point. So, but we'll see how it goes. I'm gonna have to run out there very soon, sooner or later.
Yeah,
so.
You got to do it at some point.
Yeah. But.
All right. Well, you know what, Cusco? We were actually just about to do that. That was the last thing that we were going to talk about when it comes to the COVID and cancellations. So, yes. Enough. You want to talk about other stuff? Video games, maybe?
Yeah.
Video games?
Let's not go to a break yet. Let's talk about video games just so we can get some happy stuff in before we go to the break.
Yeah.
So let's just talk about some of the events and results that have been happening this past week. And in particular, I think a really fun and creative, cool event that Japan decided to put on. They arranged this Granblue Fantasy Versus tournament. They've always been wanting to do something like this. They just couldn't find the right game, and then Granblue Fantasy Versus came out. A game with no history, with enough of a mix in gameplay that you can be an anime player or a Street Fighter player, all the stuff that they can finally find out which scene has the strongest player.
Right, yeah.
And they did this really cool event where they set up a 3v3 tournament where they created teams of players based off of their game background, and so they created like Team Virtua Fighter that had Itazan and Fudo on there. There was a Team Street Fighter, a Team Melty Blood, a Team Ultra Street Fighter 4, and it was actually pretty cool. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's a super cool idea. There have only been a few games where this is even possible. I would say early Dragon Ball fighters got people from a lot of different scenes.
Mm-hmm.
What even else? I mean, really, there have not been that many games that have crossed genres as well as Granblue is.
Yeah, and even Dragon Ball would have definitely favored the anime players than a lot of other players, and that's why I think Granblue was the perfect game to do this, because it is such a, it's a fundamentals-based game, yet still has the wild stuff like Lancelot and Matera and so it was just a perfect blend to throw this kind of tournament to. And they ran this tournament online, and again, I love the lobby system, the way that it, you saw in between the matches, they're all just like crowding around these little cabinets and stuff, and I thought it was really cool. I got to watch a lot of it, and it's hilarious because all of the games, all of the major game teams got smoked.
Yeah.
Like the Street Fighter team, the Tekken team, all these teams, they all just. I didn't even know if there was a Tekken team because by the time I started watching, if there was one, I think they were done already.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
but some of the teams that you wouldn't have expected, made it all the way to the top, and I think it's really cool. So.
Definitely, dude. Yeah. So winner was Team Melty Blood A, which was CO Goichi with Catalina and SSNO Kojikog with La Diva, and then Kubo with Gran. So I didn't know that those guys all started on Melty. I knew that Goichi played it. I didn't realize that was like the game that he identified as like his start. I kind of wonder for some of these, right? Because for example, like Dora was on the BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle team,
Right.
and like he definitely has been playing forever.
Right.
But, yeah, I don't know how they decided some of
Yeah.
them.
No.
Anyway, that's the one that won.
Yeah, Goichi he's always kind of considered himself like, they always talked about him as like the Melty Blood player, like nobody is better than him.
Maybe that's, I don't know his origin stories.
Right,
I don't know if this is the game that he came in on. I know it's a game that he played, of course.
But for sure, I mean, as much as it be like, oh, well, they won, but Goichi was not, it wasn't even Goichi. It was Koji KOG who did all the work. I mean, that guy and the La Diva, man, I mean, you've got a player like Koji who's already that good, and then, you just one touch and you lose like half your life, and then he's got the command grab mix-ups. It was ridiculous, dude. So I'm not surprised that team won. Koji KOG was putting in the work, though. Like I said, on paper, you're like, oh, well, Goichi, obviously. Especially in a game like Granblue, where defense is a little bit easier. So we've seen him in Dragon Ball, but it really, I felt like, was Koji who was carrying that whole entire thing. So
Sick.
Yeah. But then in second place was Guilty Gear, Team A.
Yeah.
Dogura, Kazunoko, and Omito. So, I mean, there's a who's who of players right there. No surprise. But even still in grand finals, it was Dogura who had to try to make the reverse OCV. I think they, Omito and Kazunoko, I think it was against Koji that they lost to. And then I think Dogura beat Koji. And then Dogura ended up losing in the end. So... Yeah, but good job to the Guilty Gear team. And then in third and fourth place were the interesting kind of categories here, because third place was the Koime Enbu team with PGW, Ren, Rookies, and Zeph. A team that, I obviously don't know the players. I actually don't know any of these players over here, and so it was awesome to see this work, to see those players putting in the work. Good job to the Koime Enbu team. And then on the fourth place was the Samurai Shodown team. Let's go, Samurai Shodown. With Taichi using Matera, very terrifying Matera. Gamera with Catalina, and Koichi with Catalina as well. But, fundamental-based fighting game, Samurai Shodown,
Okay.
having the fundamental success in Granblue Fantasy Versus. So there you go.
All right.
Oh, man.
Well, cool. Yeah, again, I think this is a really cool idea. I agree. I think that's awesome.
But
It would be great to have more games where we could have this kind of thing, but as you said, I think this game in particular seems like it's very well suited for it.
yeah, and Giuna and Majin were doing the commentary for it, and I agree with them in a lot of ways that you almost kind of wish that, the Japanese players would talk a little more trash afterwards, and just like have Goichi be like, what Melty Blood, best game, come on, I mean, we all have to welcome our Melty Blood overlords at this point in time. Obviously,
that's awesome.
Obviously, we all should have been playing Melty Blood this whole entire time to gain the Goichi skills and the Koji KOG skills, man.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. No shade on that game, of course.
Man, it's funny. It's awesome though. So for now, Melty Blood gets to have the bragging rights. I would like to see. I mean, it was funny because like I saw Fudo playing, and you could clearly see that Fudo. I don't know how much time he's put into it, but it looked like he was unfamiliar. Like he was getting caught by Lancelot left-right mix-ups, and he should have been using the block button kind of things.
Oh,
and
wow,
it
okay.
comes from Virtua Fighter. You know, there is a block button at the game.
Right, yeah.
Oh man. But no, I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, the character variety was decent, but by the time it got to the top, then yeah, it was like Catalina, Lancelot, Catalina. I mean, obviously, we have a Ladiva, we have a Percival, we do have a Narmaya up there, but Catalina, clearly one of the strongest characters, because I think she's the most fundamental character that you can come from any game and just be like, okay, I can play this character. I have an amazing cross-up button. I have the most amazing stand B. I have a fireball. I have an uppercut. Like, she is, like, fundamental, the character, you know. So, you know, and, you know, April, in one day, there's a new patch coming out. Not in one day, but sometime in April, a new patch is coming out. And so we'll see how that affects the game. I'm eager for that. I'm waiting to see how that's going to change everything. So,
cool. All right. Well, there were a couple of other online events of note, I would say. The Coliseum continues to be a really big weekly tournament for Mortal Kombat 11. And what keeps happening is on Sunday is where the bulk of it's played, and then the final top 8 is then the following Wednesday. So on Sunday, this last Sunday, there was a tournament. It had 347 players. I mean, it's huge. But we don't know who won it yet because it's going to take place tomorrow. Last week's was won by Combat, who continues to look extremely good. You know, he did really well at Final Combat a few weeks ago, and he was one of the favorites to win the LCQ before that was canceled, and then he made it in anyway, right, due to the points. Splash got second. He was another person who might have done well at the LCQ. Full Auto has been killing it, and he's been doing it in very interesting form. I really like watching him. King Gambler was up there too. Kerbalicious and Turkey, and then Samij and Abyss to round it out. It's a really good event, and you know, just to say, this is my first time playing in an online tournament that is run through Smash GG, and it's really easy. It does a great job at letting you, as the player, at telling you what's coming up next, at sort of giving you all the tools to just do it. So it has you check in. It tells you, first of all, who your next match is. It has you press the check-in button. If the opponent doesn't press the check-in button after 10 minutes, then they're DQ'd and you move on automatically. If they do press the check-in button, then you now have to play, and it tells you their PSN ID. It says invite whatever the PSN ID is.
Interesting.
And there's a chat space like in the Smash GG client right there. And so you and the opponent chat, and you're like, hey, invite me, or hey, I'll invite you. And then, you know, you get matched up. And when you get matched up, it says, Smash GG says, which character are you using? And you press, you know, which one of the characters. And then after you both have put yours in, and then the first game is over, it says, who won? And then you update it. And it goes through this each time, right? Then next game, characters, who won? Characters, who won? And by the end, you've told it that somebody won, you know, by whatever score.
Right.
And it automatically updates that, automatically sends it in. One of the mods reviews it, accepts it, and then you move on to the next round automatically. And it tells you who you have to play against, and the whole thing starts over.
What happens if a sore loser's like, I won, even though they lost?
Well, that did happen, actually. I mean, it turned out maybe to be more of a misunderstanding, but that did happen to me. And, I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal. Just basically, I mean, they ended up just, like, allowing me to mark it. But if it doesn't happen like that, then you can message one of the people who's running it. You can message one of the mods or the bracket runners, and, you know, show them what's up. And if you need to, then you can show them your, like, online battle history, and that says, like, win-loss, whatever it's going to be.
But, David, you should really take your losses better, man. Like, why would you just sit there and input it as you won? I mean, come on, jeez.
Look, James, I'm a streamer, all right? I got to create controversy in order to get the views.
Right. No, but that's cool. I'm glad to hear that. And you mentioned Full Auto, and he's in top 8 again this week. After this weekend, he's in the loser
Yeah.
side of the bracket here.
He is, yeah. He's killing it, man. He plays Sindel, and that's although a character many of us think is strong, still don't see it very often. At least a high level. Maybe that'll change. He plays it really well. It's really cool to watch.
And I also see that Gurr and Burrito Voorhees, two of the very, well-known names. And, I mean, again, shout-outs to Mortal Kombat and NRS for having good net code so that this is, like, super nice. But, Neutral is Key and Wise Gemini are in top 8 as well. Are they well-known in the...
Yeah, Wise Gemini is. Neutral is Key. I didn't know until watching this last week, and then in talking with some of the players, they said that they've been around for a while. They've been on the come up. So this is like a big moment for them to get in here in this kind of situation. But yeah, making it happen.
I see Pure Titanium Tigers and Splash also in top 8 as well.
So that'll be tomorrow, and the stream is Mr. Aquaman's channel.
Yeah.
And it's been great. So
is it a free tournament?
Job again. What's that?
Is it a free tournament or does it cost money?
It's free to enter.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
Yep, and there's a match arena for it and everything. So check it out on Smash GG. Just search for the Coliseum with a K, obviously. You know that. Right. Mm-hmm. Gotta be the K.
If it wasn't a K,
very nice to see online tournaments keeping up in that way.
Yeah, for sure. If it wasn't a K, I'd be disappointed. So.
Absolutely right. There was also a Ronin Rumble again. This was a special charity tournament in which the benefit was going to be TOs who've been heavily impacted by cancellations due to COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very, very nice. And then this was for both Granblue and Samurai Shodown. So, and then there was one for each coast in North America. So there was a West Coast and an East Coast. So there are 4 tournaments that were run, which is impressive. And SQ took it on the East Coast for Granblue with Fairy. Second place was PME, also with Fairy. West Coast, Granblue was won by Silent with La Diva. Second was Maverick with Lancelot. Then Samurai Shodown East Coast was won by TXC Marco Polo with Charlotte. Second place was TSF Shizumaru. Then West Coast Samurai Shodown was won by Goro with Yoshitora. And second place was TXC Violent Kane with Haohmaru.
Mm-hmm.
Again, very nicely done, running online tournaments, and I think it's particularly a good idea to have West versus East. That is to say, 2 different tournaments for people on different coasts. I really like that. I think there's some games where you can get away with not needing that. Like I think maybe Mortal, Skullgirls. Like there's some games where you don't maybe need that, but for most games, I think that's a really good idea, and that's something that the Reddit SF weekly tournament has started doing. So there's an East Coast one, which is the Monday one that they've been doing. Mm-hmm. Now it's just East Coast, and then now the West Coast one is, I believe, on Friday. So they have both coasts for that as well.
Yeah, just sitting here looking at the chat here, a lot of people talking about like these online events. I know like Wednesday Night Fights and everybody have also been doing online events as well, right? So. But shout-outs to Jeff. I mean, he's really built Ronin Rumble into something big here, and just kind of blew up, and it's going really well. Like I said, Crackfiend joined the team a while ago, and so they're going to continue doing this, and hopefully they can keep doing this, and hopefully it can also just get to a point where it can really facilitate this kind of online tournament scene and set kind of a blueprint. The hardest part is like a lot of different people are going to be trying to run these online events now, and so we'll have to see, because obviously with big events like Combo Break, you run a year. For online events, people are going to be trying to run them a lot, and so I'm wondering if it's going to be a situation where people are going to start kind of like crowding a pretty small space, you know what I mean? So
yeah, especially if it is something that everybody tries to do as weekly. I wouldn't mind seeing one of these events that has to get canceled offline try to run things online, and that's not going to be as good, but we were talking before about how Combo Breaker is doing a retrospective stream, and that's just good for like community outreach and keeping their name around there and still taking up that weekend. Well, I'd like to see that too with online events, right?
So
I think that's a really good idea. You're not going to get the same reach, right? There's any number of problems why it's worse, naturally, but at least, I don't know, let people say that like they won April Annihilation this year, and it was online, and you know, why not?
I mean, to answer Zygon's questions, are there going to be online tournaments with entrance fees and prize pools? It's a tough situation. I know that there are some laws in some states that you can't reward prizes, so you won't be able to do stuff like that. So I think for a while, these online tournaments aren't going to be able to do stuff like that, or just say, if you're from this state, you can't enter, or you're unable to win a prize or something, which would kind of suck. So there's a lot of...
No, you're right, though. There are some states and provinces in Canada that don't let people enter tournaments or really run events in the same way that we're used to. So there are some legal problems.
Right.
But yeah, I agree. I still think look, even if it is a free to enter thing, I still think it'd be nice.
Yeah. And you know, obviously some events have done stuff like that, but I think Matcherino kind of gets around that a little bit. I don't think it can be direct entry fees and prizes, you know, like a local tournament does. So...
yeah, that's the issue legally. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also wanted to shout out, Quarantine Rapport. They had, Solid Bones says, over 1,000 people registered in their online stuff. They had a bunch of different games that they were running, and so it was, you know, similar to a major in the sense that it was an event that was taking place online, but in which there were many affiliated tournaments, game tournaments that were happening, and I think that's great. That's the kind of thing that I would love to see that more often. I think that'd be very cool. They had a lot of games, a bunch of smaller stuff, some of the big stuff as well. I mean, I guess we're not going to go all the way through it, but I wanted to shout them out for doing that. I think that kind of thing is impressive and something that we probably need to see more of.
Right, and I'm trying to find Ace King Offsuit's tweet, but I know I mentioned it a little bit earlier. Here it is. There was a Michigan Masters Memorial Tournament this past weekend as well for Uniclair Net Play event. There was a pot of like $100, and the winners did get the medals and trophies that were supposed to go to the players at Michigan Masters. Dang. So there you go. And then yeah, the other one was Quarantine Rapport that he was talking about. So there you go. So
yep.
What do you think, cool. David? Should we start running some online tournaments as well on Ultra?
Who, you and me?
Yeah, on Ultra Chen TV. Should we?
We could do that.
Let's do that. Let's figure that out. Let's discuss that, and then we can commentate it. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, definitely we would.
Or you would enter them. You could Shang Tsung your tournaments, right? So,
okay.
I don't know if that would be fair, but you know.
I like it. All right, man. Well, you want to take a break here?
Yeah, let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk some more fighting game stuff. Be right back, guys. Sorry, I should probably talk a little bit more. I'm just kind of... what they say in Chinese is called fa dai. It's zoning out, basically. Well, that's cool. Well, thank you for tuning in live. Yeah, I mean, the quarantining stuff has definitely been killing all of our sleep schedules. I even went to bed early last night, and I still couldn't wake up today. I don't know what it is. There's something about the quality of my sleep that's just falling apart. I think it might just be that my pillow is really old, and I need to buy a new pillow. But I don't know what pillow to get at this point, because the pillow that I've been using that's really good was bought out by another company, and now that pillow sucks. And so I'm not sure what to do at this point. I haven't tried the Flash game. No, I have not. Brookstone CBD. What is that? Brookstone CBD oil infused bed pillow. Huh. I mean, the biggest problem with this is it looks a little thin. I'm a side sleeper. I need a thicker pillow. I like my pillows thick, you know.
Are you talking about drugs on this stream?
No, not at all. Not at all.
I just came back. I think I heard somebody talking about drugs.
Drugs? I'm actually not sure what I said that sounded like drugs. Yeah, it's thin. If it's too thin, I won't be able to use that. So I'm talking about pillows here. So.
Oh, it sounded like you're talking about CBD oil.
Yeah, CBD and oil infused bed pillow by Brookstone.
What?
That's what it says, dude. That's what it says.
Okay. All right. Whatever.
So yeah, we definitely were talking about that. But I need something more supportive and more thick. I need mine thick and supportive. That's what I need. No, actually, Paco Stevens, I won't be supporting my pillow ever. So.
Jeez.
That will definitely never be happening.
Well, it's good to go, buddy.
Okay, alright, let's do this. Hello everybody, welcome back to the Tuesday show. Let's move on to the next stuff over here. We are talking about the 5-5 matchups now.
Mm-hmm.
And was there any topic of our own that we want to talk about, or just go for the user stuff directly?
Actually, yeah. You know, this is something that I was talking about on Twitter, and that I think would be interesting to discuss. It's something that come up for me lately. I'm sure it has for you. Playing fighting games when you are in a negative state of mind. Okay, we're stuck, right? We're indoors. What are you gonna do? You're gonna play video games, and many of us like to play fighting games. At the same time, we're stuck indoors, and there's terrible news everywhere, and it's hard to not get down. I think that's a very reasonable response in this situation, right? Very understandable. The combination of those two, right? What do? You play fighting games, but you're not feeling great mentally. How does that go for you? And maybe how do you pull yourself out of that negative headspace if you want to play fighting games, or if you are in a negative headspace, do you avoid playing fighting games? And if so, like, how do you get yourself not to do it? Like, what's your interplay with this kind of situation?
I am not the right person to answer this question. That's okay. My answer, because a lot of times I am the player that gets stuck when I start losing, and I get really depressed and frustrated with myself that I just keep playing and it spirals out of control and I make it worse for myself. Honestly, my best way to avoid it is to not get into that negative headspace to begin with. And it's actually kind of interesting because there was one episode last week where I streamed and I played Street Fighter V and I just did terrible. And I literally fell into this deep, dark, like, I suck, and all the things that people have said to me in the past, you know, saying that I'm a bad player or I have terrible execution and all these things like that keep rotating in my head over and over and over and over again. And it's like I get into these very dark spaces very easily when I play fighting games. And the way for me to fight that really is it's almost like to kind of like pre-ritual. You know what I mean? Like that night when I felt really bad and I felt really terrible, what actually helped the most was after I stopped, I just sat on stream and I was really depressed and I was talking about it, but I started talking through it. I was like, I have no reason to feel this bad about my play because I play once a week. And I'm not taking it, I'm not practicing, and I shouldn't expect to be doing better than platinum, you know, because I'm just not playing. And I'm playing a brand new character, and I haven't really done all of the things that I've needed to do to really prepare myself for this. And
Okay.
I really had to accept where I was in the game. And what's interesting is since then, I've been playing so much better online because, one, I've been playing a lot more, you know, with your advice, just playing every once in a while without streaming, just because I just want to play. And then I've also been going to the lab a lot more. I'm just in training mode, and I've told people this on my stream. I practiced Lucia run into V-skill, dash, stop both quick rise and back roll meaty timings. Like, I sat there for like an hour doing that. You know, I was just doing that for an hour because the other thing too is I'm approaching Street Fighter V differently now because I've been trying my best to get by through feel, through read, through trial and error. Street Fighter V doesn't work that way. It just, you can't play the game through trial and error and through feel. You have to lab. You have to study. You have to practice all these scenarios. You have to know, you have to practice all, like, I'm recording the computer doing, you know, 4 different things and reacting to each one of them. You know, I'm trying to practice against, to how to deal with Alex's stomp or stun gun mix up. You know, I got almost quadruple perfected by an Alex because that's all he did, and I just couldn't stop it, you know, and I went to the lab and I learned how to fight all of that, you know, and there's just, it's Street Fighter V is such a different fighting game, and you can't play that game through hoping that just by playing it you will get better at it. It doesn't work that way, especially for a player of my mindset in which I play almost exclusively by heart. You know, it doesn't work for that kind of mindset. And you know, it's interesting because I've talked to a lot of my stream as well that plays the game that way, and they that play through heart. And Street Fighter V is not a game for us. And so I'm approaching the game very differently, and I'm finding a lot more success now. So back kind of to the original question, you know, for me, it's more just really putting myself into the right place to understand what to expect out of myself. Now, if I'm negative, like if I'm just depressed because of the COVID stuff and all these things like that, I just don't play. I just won't play. And it's not because I've been smart enough to avoid playing because I feel that way, but because when I get into that space, I become absolutely, I can't do anything. Like, I can't accomplish anything.
Yeah.
I get out of that space by finding, I have the one couch now that seems to have, the cats have learned now then when James is lying on this couch in this position, it is time to turn James into the duplex. And they just come and lie down on me, and I just play games on my phone or just read the internet and stuff. And I lie there, and Nathan sleeps on my chest and Jasmine sleeps on my legs, and it's very, very relaxing. And that's how I get out of my situation in when I get into that state, is that I just don't play online. I can't, because then it hurts me. Because I'll even play Tekken while I'm lying there sometimes, and I get into that bad space too when I start losing in Tekken. Although now I'm using a top tier deck, and so it's a little bit better. Although everyone's countering that deck now, so it's actually kind of tough. So. But what do you do? What do you do now? Because I know your depression is a very different kind of depression than I have. So, like, how do you handle your situation? Because you can get depressed and still jump online because you're not aware of it at the time, you know? And so how do you handle that kind of situation?
Yeah, no, that is a good point. That does happen. So, if I'm not in a good headspace, it's true that I often can't tell. I'm getting better at that, but it's still true that I often can't tell. My wife oftentimes knows before I do that I'm not feeling well. Seriously. So I mean, it's very helpful to have somebody around who can be like, are you feeling okay today? You know, just to,
Right. And
that is actually
especially
really helpful.
because you're also smart enough to be like, actually, I'm fine. Wait, huh?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not
Yeah.
feeling right. You know,
Right.
like,
And sometimes it's frustrating to just be asked that question, but it's important and it's helpful
yeah,
in the main. So it's really something that does help. So if I'm aware that I'm not feeling great, then I do try to avoid it. And I like to do other stuff instead. I'll go on a walk, or I'll, you know, if I can get myself sort of motivated, maybe I'm at a spot where I can't do that, in which case I kind of just lie down. But if I can get myself motivated, then I will go for a walk, I'll do my physical therapy exercises, maybe I'll read a book, maybe I'll play a game that's not competitive. Because like with you and, you know, maybe trying to go from Street Fighter to Tekken, what's the issue is not the game itself, it's competition. I mean, that's my view.
yeah,
My view
yeah.
is that it's competing that is continuing to result in me having a gnarly mindset. And if instead I just go play a game where it's just like me versus the computer, or maybe not even that, maybe I turn on Super Mario Odyssey and I just like go tooling around the
Yeah.
landscape for a while doing flips. I mean, just something where right, I mean, there's no farthest thing possible from competition. I'm not speedrunning. I'm just running around and being like, I'll take the Jaxie, and you know, just like whatever. Um, Completely away from it, and that can kind of help me settle down a little bit. I've been playing Doom lately, which I think for me has been a very, very good outlet in these situations. It's a good mix of kind of fast response twitchiness where you don't have to think a lot. At the same time, there's also a lot of thinking about like which guns to use and how to approach situations and where to stand and all that sort of stuff. And so you can there's stuff to figure out, which is a good distraction for me. I always I like to be distracted by like having to think. And then there's a lot of like history that you can look into in the game, and so if you'd like to read the jargon, there's like any number of paragraphs that you can just spend time like
Right.
learning about made up physics that they like invented for the game, which I love. So it's been really a great distraction in those cases. Now, okay, say I'm not aware that I'm not feeling great, which is definitely the case sometimes. I notice by how I play. So if I'm playing and when I sign on, I'm feeling all right. Hey, let's play video games, right? And then I lose by doing the same thing 10 times in a row. Something's wrong.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I'm not thinking. I'm not processing. I'm not learning. And while you know I'm not the best player in the world anyway, I'm not going to counter adapt to everything in the world. But if I'm doing the same wrong thing like 10 times in a row, that is a tell for me. This literally happened the other night. One of my friends invited me to play. We were playing an online set, and it was me versus some Falk player, and I wanted my Honda to get V-Skill 2 up, okay? And the Falk kept doing the low shot, which goes full screen.
Right.
And so I would do V-Skill 2 startup, and he would do low shot, and it would hit me out of it. And then I would do V-Skill 2, and he would do low shot, and it would hit me out of it. And then I'd do V-Skill 2. That happened like 10 times. And I just, why? I don't, it's just a bizarre decision.
Interesting.
And I clearly was just not thinking, right? My mind is not in it. And that kind of, it's a surprise almost when that happens, because I'm not thinking that I'm feeling bad. And then I notice, oh wow, this is incredibly stupid. I shouldn't be playing games. So at that point, I logged off, I removed myself from that situation, but I wish that I hadn't started it. It's just that, like you said, sometimes for me, I can't tell. But if I can tell, then I try to avoid it. It's very, very difficult for me to get out of that mindset. So in this last case, me playing against this person online, when I got hit by 10 low shots in a row, I was, I thought, okay, wow, this is, after the set, I'm out of here. But like the set, it was like first to 30 or something. So
Right.
I continued it, and I like kind of got back into it a little bit.
Right.
I sort of sat up in my chair, and I really tried to think, and I tried to think to myself, try to take it seriously. If something doesn't work, don't do it again. Like, just trying to tell myself, like, just very basic, here's how to function as a human, kind of like basic stuff. And that did help to some degree. It didn't help super well, but like I got myself out of it a little bit.
Right.
It's very difficult for me to get entirely out of that. So, you know, like you, if I'm aware that I'm not feeling great, I try not to play. If I realize mid-set, you know, I say thanks for the games. I try not to be salty about it because I know that it's not. There's nothing that they did to like piss me off, right? It's just me not feeling well myself, and I leave. You know, I'm out of there.
Like I said, at least you can leave. Like I have the opposite problem where when I get, because I'm such an emotional person, I get into this space where I can't stop playing, and I just keep playing until and even if I win a match, if I beat somebody up, like you always want to go out on a win kind of stupid thing like that, you know, there's always that dumb thing. But if I win a match and clearly the other person doesn't know my character, or I clearly outclass the other guy, it's not good enough for me. I feel like I have to win a justified, like, roar, you know, kind of good win and stuff like that. And yeah, I just end up getting stuck into these kind of holes forever. Alexa Natron says it, and I do the same thing. You know, I go online, lose a few games, I get pissed, I dig myself into a hole, I feel terrible, and it just kind of stays that way. And it's a tough situation for me to get around. And, you know, like I said, I have trouble with that. I fortunately don't have the ability to go online and play because I'm feeling bad. Like I just don't, I lose all of my executive function when I'm feeling depressed. So I can't even start anything. But when I get into that mode when I'm playing, because I'm such an emotional player, I have to be careful about that. And like I said, I haven't run into that situation too badly since that previous meltdown. I've been playing a lot better. In fact, the last session that I played, I went from 8,500 points to 9,500 points. Like, wow. I just was rocking it, and I was like, dude, I'm playing great right now. And that's so great. Like, it's been all sunshine and roses, but we'll see how it goes the next time I play and things start to go bad, you know. But the nice thing about it is, like I said, I've just, you know, I guess what I'm trying to do now is logic my way through the negative headspace. Okay. Like I said, I don't feel like Street Fighter V is the kind of game that I can play by feel. Especially for me, one of the most interesting things that I've learned, and the reason why I'm talking about this kind of side tangent is this is kind of what I wanted to talk about on the Chen on my Chen reaction yesterday, but I just never got a chance to. So it's all kind of coming out now. But weirdly enough, and you know, this is why I recommend playing multiple fighting games, Tekken has really taught me about one of my biggest weakness of fighting games. Shoutouts to Maximilian, dude, by the way.
Come on, Max. Come on, Max.
David is here. He's absolutely... Look, I'm patting him on the head right now, dude. I'm patting him on the head. Like, I'm touching his forehead right here. Like, Tekken has taught me...
I'm gonna have to wash my face now.
Yeah, I know, right? It literally taught me one of my biggest weaknesses in fighting games. And that is that I don't recognize moves. I just see blurs, right? And so I talked about that in the Eddie reveal trailer, how the Zato reveal trailer, how all of a sudden I can see Eddie now. And like, I didn't realize until now how much of me not being able to fight him is that I could never tell what Eddie was doing exactly. Because the game has the zoom in, zoom out. And so sometimes it gets the weird pixely and, you know, I just can't see it. And I've realized now that I do that a lot in Street Fighter. So I remember months ago, you told me that the stomp and the stun gun from Alex look completely different.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I remember at the time I was like, do they? I was like, they look exactly the same. They have the same. And so this is why I can't play the game by feel. This is why I can't learn the game just by trial and error, because I've realized that I just can't tell the difference. I've never been able to tell the difference between all of Alex's elbow slashes, even though they move different distances. I didn't realize that the stun gun and the stomp look different, and you can actually just option select it. You can just wait until a certain timing. There's a button timing that'll hit stun gun out of the air and you will block the stomp. And I never tried it because to me they looked exactly the same. As soon as I saw him go up in the air, dude, my anti-airs are getting better and everything like that. Like, I'm just really, really learning about myself as a fighting game player, and one of my biggest weaknesses is literally that I just didn't recognize things. That's why when I fought Colleen, I always attack after her crouching medium kick, even though it's +1 on block, because I just never saw her crouch medium kick. It was just a super slow ass looking kick that clearly is negative on block because it looks so slow, that I would always hit a button and get hit afterwards, and it's just, I have to logic my way through a lot of these things. And so now it's interesting when I am losing online, I can actually pinpoint why I'm losing a lot better than I was before. So I'm almost kind of cutting it off at the pass that I'm not getting into this negative space, because every time I lose, I'm like, oh, nope, I lost because this, and I can totally deduce exactly why I lost, and it's making a big difference for me. And it's one of those things that I never could tell why I lost before because I didn't recognize anything that was happening. But now I'm trying to be better about it, and it's except Honda. I will still get mad at Honda. I played against 2 Hondas. They both destroyed me. One of them one and done me too. I ran into the one and doneer again, and I beat him the next time I played him.
Okay.
And even after I beat him, I was still so mad at that character. I was like, I beat him, and I was like, fuck this character. This character's still brain dead. He's so scrubby, blah, blah, blah. Dude, I hate... See what you've done to me, David? You have traumatized me so badly with this character. Oh, God.
I'm curious about how you'll feel with respect to the idea that you can't play Street Fighter V by heart and by feel after you know more about these situations.
Yeah.
Because I feel that it is a game that I do play by feel a lot, but I have this like underlying knowledge base already of like all the little data and stuff. Like I know it now. So I'm sort of like sitting on top of that.
Yeah.
And then now where I'm at is like, yeah, it definitely is. There is a real feeling of like ebb and flow and understanding the flow of the game and the feel of it and understanding the opponent's feel. What's interesting is that I have the PC account that's somewhere between like high diamond and master. I'm flipping around all in between there. And then my PS4 account was in gold and now is in low platinum. And I'm kind of relearning Dhalsim by playing in the PS4 lower account. Very interesting to go between the two and see how different people play and also how different I have to play.
Yes.
In order to beat people, right? So when I'm playing in the like master and diamond account, there's a lot of just like the feel and the sort of emotionality of playing, and that's what I'm concentrating on. And then when I go down to the lower ranks again, I have to be very robotic, and because everybody else is, because there's like a conventional wisdom time that people are pressing buttons on, and I keep thinking like, well, they're going to delay it this time. That's like what it feels to me, and maybe that works in master, but like it doesn't cut it in gold and platinum. So I wonder how you'll feel about the game if you want to continue, and you do rise up. Sounds like you are. I wonder how you'll feel, because I think that there really is that side to it. You just have to have like kind of this it has to be supported by having done research.
Yeah, but then there's also the other aspect. You know, while I do 100% agree with that, I mean, it's the reason why I couldn't make it past gold and platinum for the longest of time. You can't play by feel in the gold platinum position. I mean, I fought a Balrog that hit a button every time. Every time. I mean, the people who watched this, it was probably one of the funniest ones that I lost to him. And I ran into him again, and I tried to throw him one time, and he jabbed me, and I was like, James, he is always going to hit a button. And so I then actually ended up killing him by doing crouching medium kick, burn kick times N. Like, I just kept doing it. If he got hit, I did it. If he got blocked it, I did it. And he just kept getting hit by things. He just kept getting hit by things. And I ended up beating him. Because literally, I just told myself, I'm never going to try to throw this guy. Because if I play by feel, because he's going to stop hitting buttons, eventually, I'm going to lose. And I literally just said, nope. I am always going to go for perfect frame traps, perfect meaties, and only attacking, and that's it. I'm never going to try to micro walk or steal a turn or do any of these things, and it worked out for me. And it's just one of those things that you have to do when you're down. It's crazy because I always talk about how fighting games are one of the hardest things to play because depending on the level that you're at, what you learn, you have to actually unlearn most of it to get to the next level, and then you have to unlearn that to get to the next level, and then you have to unlearn that, and it's crazy, dude. It's one of the things that makes fighting games so hard. So yeah, if I get up to Diamond eventually, maybe it will change a lot, and I can play a lot more by feel because every time I play top players, I feel like I actually can play against them a lot. You know, like, it's weird. I'll lose to crazy Balrog, but then I fight like a top player, and then I feel like I can fight against them because then the feels come back into place. You know what I mean? It's really interesting. So
I think there's, I was talking about this on stream the other day, but there are like a couple levels. I was talking about this, so I put up a video on YouTube about how to deal with Honda hands.
I watched it. I watched it even before it went public. I almost wrote a comment in there. Thank you, David.
Because part of what I mentioned was this idea of the different ranks treating things differently. We talked about lower ranks and then the higher-ish ranks, which is where I am. And then the people who are actually good can do both, right? They can play robotically or they can play by feel. And the switch of the gears is one thing that's very difficult for many players to deal with and to do. And they can do that. So they have this like additional set of timing in their minds. They have both, which is definitely really helpful. Anyway, I wonder how you feel about the game in terms of that.
Well, like I said, one of the things that you were talking about that really, a while ago I tweeted that, I treat fighting games like music. I always have to kind of get a rhythm of the game. I need to feel what the beats are, what the common refrains are, how people spend meter, this kind of thing. And I always get, like, to me to learn a fighting game, I have to learn that. I have to learn this kind of feel. Like, it's like I can close my eyes and kind of get an idea of how the pace of a match goes. And Street Fighter V felt like a bunch of kids banging on pots and pans for me because I could not get the rhythm of it at all. But nowadays, I actually feel like I have the rhythm of the game a lot more now. I feel the rhythm of the game a lot more. And it's interesting because, I feel it a lot more, not by teaching the kids how to play the music, the pots and pans better, but by understanding the pots and pans. Honestly, I've understood the rhythm of the game more because now I realize that, you recognize how important it is to put yourself +2 in front of somebody else. How important it is, to be at this range from somebody or, things like that. Like, I'm really starting to I'm trying to play the game so much more by math. And that is the music of it. Like, it's like one of those, you go to one of those classes that, they have the crazy experimental music where the guy plays this music and you're like, what is this crap? But it's a music to a different group of people. It's a music to a very different kind of scientific mindset. And, like a musician like Philip Glass, is very experimental in chord progression, does a lot of different things, that aren't common to normal music. Is, if you watch a movie like Koyaanisqatsi, that's all Philip Glass, and the music in there is very, it's like it repeats the same thing over and over and over and over again and stuff. And some people might not enjoy that music, but it is music to a lot of people out there, and that's what I had to do to learn the game. And so now I do understand the rhythm of the game a lot more, and it's allowing me to accept things that happen a lot more in the game.
Well, I think that's good then. I would still say that I think that at higher levels, the frame data itself is less important.
Yeah,
there's a lot more creativity around what +2 means.
Right.
Or whatever the number means, right? And so there's many situations where being negative is fine. Even sometimes it's a mix-up to be negative.
Right. Yeah.
So I think there is a point at which the game opens up. It's not apparent. I think when you're low level. One thing I would say as well is that this sort of what you talk about, I think, is a way to avoid feeling negative while playing fighting games, which is to see if there's some underlying thing that's going on for you. And sometimes that's a much larger question. Sometimes it's like what you mentioned, that you've recognized how you haven't been noticing certain things in games, and now you can sort of address that. For me, I have felt much better about learning and losing now that I feel like I can control my hands. Right? For many years, I would get tilted pretty quickly, and so I didn't play very much because I felt that I couldn't even do the things that I wanted to do, and so why bother? But I really wanted to play because I love fighting games, so I'm still playing, but I'm just screwing it up, and it's making me pissed. And that happened a lot. Feeling like I have control, even if in some cases I still lose it, but feeling like I usually have control has made it so that I can put aside the more physical questions in my mind and concentrate more on what are the mental things. And in reality, I could have been doing this the entire time, even though my hands wouldn't have been able to control as well. I mean, I do it better now, but back then I could also have still been improving how I'm dealing with things mentally. That was available. It's just that I couldn't get past the physical side of things first, right?
I mean,
to learn.
It's like playing in a bunch of lag, right? You never know if you're losing because you're really losing. So it's hard to really
That's true, but even in that situation, you can still take things from games mentally. You can still there's still certainly plenty of things that you can learn and understand about how a game plays, even if there isn't lag.
Yeah, and one thing I do want to address too, because I see High Fight in the chat talking about it's all about getting used to a game, and that frame data can help you skip training and stuff like that. Some training. I can't say that that's actually, the problem is everybody learns differently. So, I've sat there and studied frame data all I wanted to, and I've been trying to get used to the game the way that I get used to games, and it doesn't work that way. My brain just doesn't process games in that style, and so the frame data actually doesn't help me as much as actually putting myself into that situation a lot, you know what I mean? And really just kind of try to practice things. I really think that a lot of people learn very, very different ways.
Of course.
So that's the thing. So I don't think that there's one particular solution. So, when I talk about how I learn fighting games, I'm talking about from an emotional standpoint, so it is very, very different. That's actually really funny. That's actually clever. High Fight says that he makes frame analysis to force himself to remember frame data. That's actually...
I used to do the same thing. I began making posts. The very first, lessons thing that I did, which is the big how to play Q thread on SRK. I did that for me. I mean, I did it to help other people too, but I did it because I wanted to have all of my stuff in one spot so that I could more easily look at it. And when I wrote things down, I would remember it better, just like taking notes for class. I would be able to sort of record it better for myself too. I think this is a good point. Yeah, that really does help. But it's also a good point to say that as Hi-Fi mentions, you can be in Master and like not be thinking about frame data that much in SF5 because at that point you can play more around
Oh yeah.
whether something is advantaged or disadvantaged.
One of the things that I definitely want to make clear is that you know, you don't have to memorize the numbers in frame data at all, no matter who you are, and even if you're a player like me or whatever like that. But you have to memorize you have to know what the situations are afterwards. You just have to get used to the situations that you get put into, and there's where I can't play by getting used to, because I never recognized the situations that I got put into.
That's a good insight. I'm glad that you realized that. And I would say, you know, if you're trying to learn frame data but you can't tell the difference between the two moves anyway, then knowing the frame data doesn't matter.
Yeah, not only that, it's not just even
once you can know, then it begins to maybe matter.
Right, not even just being able to recognize the two different moves. It's just I didn't know that I was being put into this situation all the time, that they were mixing me up. I just didn't process that I was put into this same mix-up over and over and over again. You know, like, for example, like, if I fought an Ed and he did, you know, V trigger 2, you know, so he's +3 on me.
Yeah.
If he did that to me multiple times, I would never recognize it playing. I could recognize it by watching other people, that this was a situation that he couldn't handle. But playing it myself, I never realized it. And, you know, same kind of thing happened when people would jump in on me all the time, and I never anti-air. I never realized that's how I was dying, because I was just blocking jumps all the time. I don't have this ability to, like, when I play fighting games, it's like I'm always in this weird visual fog. I don't know what it is, you know what I mean? And so what I've really been trying to do playing this now is put myself into these, like, I just take the little defogger and wipe off the fog off of one part of the mirror just so I can concentrate on that a little bit. I'm never going to be able to get the whole mirror clean, you know, because by the time I finish wiping it, the rest of it is fogged up again. Yeah, but like, I'm just trying to laser focus on certain things now and recognizing the situation and understanding how to deal with that now. So so basically, when I was fighting Alex, like I said, I trained the stomp versus stun gun. I've now trained the post command throw mix up, because I would get command throw by Alex and then I would just get hit by standing heavy kick 100% of the time, and I don't think I ever realized I got hit by that every single time. You know, I was always trying to backdash. And I just get hit every single time. And I don't think I realized that until one day I just sat down and thought about it. And I was like, I keep getting hit by this.
That's good.
You know?
And important.
I just was literally rewatching a little bit of a match I had against an Alex, and I got hit by the heavy kick. And I was like, I always get hit by this heavy kick. I always get hit by this heavy kick. And I was like, I always get hit by this heavy kick. You know? And it's like, I can't get it into my head. Until I get it into my head. And so that's kind of how it is right now. I guess that's what I mean by I can't play the game by feel, is that the feel is failing me. Whereas something like Samurai Shodown, you can always roll away. You can there is no vortex. The mix-up situations aren't like that. You know what I mean? It's a very different kind of thing. So, and I don't watch a lot of replays, man, dude. I really don't. I don't watch a lot of replays of myself because I can't. It's hard for me to watch them. It's depressing to watch.
It's very useful.
Yeah, and I don't. And that's definitely a mistake that I'm not sure I'll be able to overcome. So we'll see.
Well, okay. Anyway, those are some thoughts on, you know, how to deal with not feeling in a positive mental state when playing a fighting game, and maybe how to avoid even feeling that way in the first place, like we were talking about, right? Some ways to just address whatever the underlying issue is in the first place is a really good way to deal with that. Anything else to say on that topic?
Nope. Just kind of glad I got to. Sorry if I derailed it so much.
It's totally fine.
Into my own learning situation about Street Fighter. It seemed like the chat really enjoyed that, though. But like I said, it was actually what I planned to talk about on the Chen Reaction yesterday, and then it never happened. So it just was all in my brain already, and so it all just kind of came out.
It's all good. All right, well, let's move on to the viewer questions, huh?
Sure.
Okay, let's go to the results here. So here are the questions. Number 1. Who are the 5 strongest characters tiers-wise in Street Fighter series history?
Oh, whoa.
You didn't see that Twitter discussion?
No, I think I missed it.
Okay, all right. Well, maybe we'll get to that. 2. What games will really struggle under the current quarantine, and which might do well? Could Marvel Infinite do well? 3. What could we improve about online tournaments from both the player and viewer experience? 4. Will they ever make an update to Street Fighter 3 Third Strike or Capcom vs. SNK 2? That got no votes, and the answer is no. So, 5. Why do you think the FGC puts a kind of expiration date on fighting games? Why do games fall off? Why do people talk about games as if they die? 6. What's your favorite premise or lore from an otherwise unremarkable or bad fighting game? I love that question. 7, last one. Will the next Street Fighter game be on every platform, and will it and other future fighting games be cross-platform?
I just want to say about that last question is Street Fighter V is already on all the platforms except for Switch. That's the only one, but I wouldn't have expected it to be on Switch. So
that's true, actually. Yeah. It's a stretch to be on Switch, although it'd be great. But yeah, it's already on everything after all.
But it's on everything else, so there you go.
As far as I know.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they can put it on Epic Games Store, right? I guess that's one extra thing that they could do.
Yeah, pretty much. I guess so.
If they needed to reach out in any more ways. So the question that won is, why do you think the FGC puts a kind of expiration date on fighting games? Why do games fall off? Why do people talk about games as if they die? What do you think, buddy?
Honestly, I think people talk about games as if they die because they find joy in it. Honestly.
Oh, wow.
I really just think it's because it's an asshole mentality. I never like to talk about games as dying. I'm always like, you know what? This game can live. This game can win. I think people like to talk about games that die because they want it to be dead. Because it gives them joy that oh yay, look, this game is dead, but my game is still alive. Me. So I really honestly feel like that's where a lot of it comes from. I think a lot of people like to declare games dead because they find joy in them being right about their fighting game. And honestly, I even if it's not intentionally trying to be mean, I think it's subconscious too. I think it's because I've made such a conscious effort to not feel that way, even about games that I don't like, that I never declare games as dead. You know, like that language is gone from my head because I'm so intent on wanting every game to succeed. And so as soon as you get into that mentality, you just stop thinking in that way, to be honest with you. So, and yeah, I mean, but the problem is, like, people make jokes about it, but the jokes have real impact, right? It's just like you make jokes about it, and then you make a joke about a game, like you're just joking, like, haha, MVCI is dead. You don't really mean it, but then the MVCI player was like, well, fuck you. And so then later on, they're going to be like, well, Dragon Ball is dead. And so, like, even though it started as a joke and now ricochets as something serious, and then everybody else gets serious about it, you see it in chat all the time. Everyone's happy. Soon as someone says one game is dead, then all of a sudden the chat devolves into everybody hates every fighting game. You know what I mean? It's just how it is. I really honestly think that people are quick to declare games are dead because they want their game to succeed, and part of them is kind of happy to see that it's happening to other games. I've fallen victim to it myself with some games that have died that I was like, haha, take that, you know, kind of thing. And like, I realize that now, and I don't want to be that way. I refuse to be that way. And ever since I've changed that mentality, I've never had a temptation to ever call a fighting game dead. And that's where I honestly think it comes from. So.
Okay. Well, I guess I think that games die. I think that's my view. Look, we are playing video games. They're products that businesses make that they need to sell. And in the future, they need to sell more. And they need to make more. And in order for that to happen, we move on to the next one. We buy new products. This is not a sport. We're not going to be playing football for the next 100 years. That's not what fighting games are. It's not what video games are. There's no video game that'll be like that. They're products, and while I think that's a big bummer in some ways, in other ways, it's just the reality. I think it's just it's just that's the life that we have, and in this product cycle life, part of it is death. Part of it is that products go away. So that's not categorically the case. There's still some games that are being played in pretty good numbers from the 90s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not many, just a few. And I don't even know how many fighting games came out in the 90s, right? I wouldn't, dozens, many. Only a few of them have survived. And those are the real classics. And that'll be the case from this last decade as well. I mean, not that many came out in the 2000s, right? Most of those aren't still played, although some are. A few, I would say, of the 2010s will probably keep being played. Skullgirls is still around, right? There are some that survive. But again, not many, especially as a percentage of games overall. I just think that's a reality, you know? And while I don't want to proclaim that a game is dead, I think I agree with you that I don't like that proclamation. I think it's not helpful to anybody. It does hurt the few people who are trying to keep a game going. I can understand, although I don't feel it anymore, but I can understand why people would get some kind of like excitement out of saying that somebody else's game's dead but theirs is doing well, right? Okay. So I don't want to proclaim it, but I do think that the reality is that some games die, most games die, and that it's the exception that a game survives, not that games, not that that's the sort of the commonality. And I think that makes sense in a competitive situation, especially. So it doesn't really make sense to talk about games that are single-player games dying. You can just go back and play them whenever. But in a game that requires competition, you need to have somebody else to play against. Well, and if you can't find that, then the game's dead.
Yeah.
And if you can only find a few people, then that game is not really alive. I mean, there's a few, but it's hard to say that it's like alive, really. I think that's how it is. And I think that fighting games over time will die, and the exception will be that some survive.
Right. I guess what I should say is that, more I was addressing, the thing of why people like to declare things are dead.
Okay.
I mean, Mace the Dark Age is dead and done, right? I mean, obviously games will die, but the thing about it is, there's, it's God. I don't want to spoil movie. It's not really a spoiler because it's a major plot point. But to me, fighting games, as with any competitive things, it's like Coco, right? You saw the movie Coco, right?
I did.
You go into the afterlife and you stay alive in the afterlife, but then you die again. It sucks because in that world you die twice, but but you die when people forget about you. Right, and as soon as there's nobody left on Earth who is celebrating your death on the day of Dia de los Muertos, that's when you fade away from the afterlife. That's kind of how I see it, right? So obviously fighting games, like you said, once people stop playing it, it's dead. Right? There's no such thing. I mean, I can't even say Champion Edition in Street Fighter 2 is dead because they still play that in Korea, which is weird.
Apparently, yeah.
But, obviously, games will die. The thing about it is it's a natural process. It happens by itself. Nobody declares it dead.
Yeah.
Because if you are declaring a fighting game dead, it's not dead because it's still there. It's in your brain, right? You're talking about it. I mean, obviously, unless it is an extreme case like, Dead or Alive 1,
like okay,
kind of thing like that, So, but if you're sitting here trying to go like Dragon Ball's dead, Granblue is dead, BB Tag is dead, this kind of thing is like you're just wasting everybody's time. It's like not even a thing. Clearly, these games are not dead, and they're not even close to being dead, So, I just wish people would stop talking about games that way. You know what I mean? Like that they would like to try to declare games are dead, and I really do wish people would stop that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think people shouldn't. I don't know. Look, you have to be able to say that some games are dead for sure. I don't I think it's bad to take any joy in the idea that other games are dead. I think it's silly to say that games are dead that are still getting big tournament numbers.
Well, okay, I guess let me just clarify. Obviously, you a games will die,
Yeah.
and they're dead because nobody has to declare it, because nobody remembers to declare it. So I don't think that there's any point declaring a game dead, because when a game dies, it just happens. That's all it really comes down to.
All right. Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe there's some exceptions to that. Like when Mortal Kombat X came out, Injustice 1 died. I mean, we knew it. There was no question. When MK11 came out, Injustice 2 died. In fact, there are people who are going back right now and playing MK9, Injustice 1, and MKX, and not Injustice 2.
Maybe it's different because you come from the NRS community.
I'm sure there are still people playing Injustice 2, to be honest. I feel like if I would go online, probably still are people playing it. But I would say in those situations, it's not unreasonable to say, because the amount of competition is about to go from pretty good, you can go online, hop on whenever, play games, there's big tournaments for it, to good luck online, and there's no offline tournaments for it. And those are different enough that I feel like I'm okay with saying that the game has died.
I can see that.
Yeah. Anyway, Injustice 2 is way better than Injustice 1. I don't know why anybody's going back and playing Injustice 1. Oh man, what a wild game. I mean, there's some stuff in there that just should not exist in fighting games.
Sorry,
anyway,
my computer is being weird right now, so this stream may have some interesting situations, but we'll see what happens. So, okay. As long as it's still running, we're good.
Yeah, I would say primarily that I think when I'm thinking about which games are dead, I'm thinking primarily of whether I can play offline with people, but secondarily, if that's not an option, can I go online and play? I think those are the two. Yeah. And if you can't do either, then it's definitely gone. And if you can't play offline, or maybe you got one friend who plays offline, and maybe you have to play online, but you have to like arrange matches because there's just nobody on like randoms. It's hard to say that game is alive. Yeah, I don't know that I would say that's dead, but
because I mean, like games like even like BB Tag and Guilty Gear Xrd, they didn't have. You can't find matches on ranked, dude. Like,
okay, well, if the netcode sucks, maybe it's a different story.
Right. That's the thing, right? Maybe so clearly, those games were doing fine, but it's just that their netcode sucks. So.
Fair enough, dude. Fair enough. All right. Well, I think that's the answer to that question. Okay. So, do either of the rest of these sound interesting to you? What do you want to say?
Let's see here. What can we do to improve online tournaments? What games really struggle under the quarantine? I mean, obviously, the answer to that one is really easy. It's just the ones with the good netcode are going to do well. The ones with the bad netcode are going to struggle. And honestly, I really feel like this is the time that we should all be looking at games like Skullgirls, them fighting herds, and Killer Instinct and stuff like that. Like Punch Planet is another good one. Battle for the Grid. We should 100% be looking at those games, and this is a good opportunity for those games to really start to shine. And I almost kind of want to start streaming some of these games just to give them a little bit more, play. MVCI would be a great one. I think this is a perfect time for MVCI to grow. But I guess I just picked that question as an answer, so there you go. Do you have any viewer choice, David choices?
All right, I'm gonna quickly blow through two of them, but we'll see what you say about one. So the first one I'm gonna get to is, what's your favorite premise or lore from an otherwise unremarkable or bad fighting game? Okay. This was submitted by 645, and I think that this question came, here's my guess, when I was playing FX Fighter music on stream. And I love that game's music. I think it's one of the best soundtracks for a fighting game, but the game was not good. Like, the gameplay wasn't good. But I was talking about the story, which is that this evil mastermind character has the most powerful weapon in the galaxy. It's his home planet, and what he's going to do is fly around and challenge the best fighter from each of several other planets. And if he wins, then he gets to take over their world. And if he loses, then he gives them his planet, the ultimate weapon in the galaxy. This story doesn't make any sense at all. Why would you have the most powerful weapon in the galaxy and give it up because of a fight? You have the most powerful weapon in the galaxy, and if you'd like to take over somebody's home planet, you can just do it. You have the super weapon. It's your planet. There's no reason to give it up. You could just win.
Principles, man. I mean, come on.
It's important to him to have a fair fight. But what value then is it to have the most powerful weapon in the galaxy if the way that battles are won and that the way that planets are taken over is by winning and losing individual one-on-one fights? Why do you even have the most powerful weapon in the galaxy? It just doesn't matter at all. So anyway,
this is not the answer to the question then, because this is a terrible lore.
I think it's hilarious. So it's one that's stuck in my mind, even after so many fighting games whose lore I like briefly read and didn't care about. But it's stuck in my mind because it's so bad that I just think it's hilarious. There's like a genius to how stupid it is. So that's funny. And then, who are the 5 strongest characters tiers-wise in Street Fighter series history? This was a question from Ryan Hart on Twitter. And he had it in the context of like, hey, remember how strong Yun was in Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition?
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Which character... Well, that's what he said. Remember how strong Yun was in Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition? Which 5 characters do you think were the strongest in any Street Fighter game? And my response was, okay, I believe this was it. World Warrior Guile, CE Dictator, Super Turbo Claw, Alpha 1 Guy, Third Strike Chun-Li. Those were my 5. I had nobody from this millennium. I had only old games.
So
not Yun, right?
I guess my question is, does it count? This games like CVS count? Alpha.
He said no. He said that he's just talking about main Street Fighter games. That was what.
Oh, so only Alpha 2, 3, and 4 and 5, basically.
Yes, correct.
I mean, do we count ST Akuma?
No, and he said too, no banned characters, like obvious, right?
Okay.
Because clearly ST Akuma would be the answer, but no.
I would probably say CE Dictator for sure. Third Strike Chun for sure. I mean, because no CVS, I've lost my Nakaruru in CVS 1.
Indeed you have.
Claw and ST.
Yep.
Probably. What was the other one that I was about to say? What did I say already? I said CE Dictator. I said Chun-Li, Claw in ST.
Yep.
I sometimes wonder if we played it long enough that, Seth and Vanilla Street Fighter 4 might have been one of them.
So my response was those 5 that I mentioned. And then I said, if there's any character from this millennium I would mention, it would be Vanilla SF4 Seth.
Okay, well, there you go. It's interesting. Guile in Street Fighter 2 is an interesting one. The problem with it is that Dalsum could fight him, and it was pretty even, but he would definitely be on that list because he ruined everybody else. He literally ruined everybody else. Who was the 5th one that you mentioned again? Oh, you said Alpha 1 Guy.
Yeah.
Alpha 1 Guy. That's a good one, too.
I think it is.
Yeah, I mean,
Look,
it might have to be
my 5 is actually the correct 5. I think I'm factually correct about this.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to argue that that list right there. It's almost impossible to argue that list because Guy in Alpha 1 was really dumb. I mean, Yun and Chun are the 2 that are the tough ones because obviously Yun was super good in Third Strike as well. But
he was.
I feel like Yun in Third Strike, Dalsum in Super Turbo, and Dalsum in Street Fighter 2 could counter a lot of that because those 3 characters could fight the best character, but they were they were just as good as the best character, but the amount of work it took to get as good at those characters is so much harder that I would go with the 5 that you picked in terms of, these characters just dominate naturally super easily.
Yep. They do. And some people mention Second Impact Ibuki. But some people also mention Second Impact Akuma. And while they're both very strong, I think if you have a thing where you're like, well, it could be one of these two, then that's not the answer.
And they're not mentioning Street Fighter Second Impact Sean either. So
Yeah, but I think it really was Ibuki and Akuma who were the best. But in any case, but if there's two where you're like Ibuki and Akuma, then that's not the answer, because then neither of those characters dominates enough for there to be like this is the best character in the game. You know? And I really think that's true for the 5 that
for the lore question that you just kind of hit up. I mean, again, I'm not saying that these games are particularly bad. I mean, they were definitely plagued with infinites, and you know, they probably weren't the greatest fighting games, but for me, I would probably say, and this is one of the reasons why I really want to remake it, is Rival Schools.
Right.
I am super fascinated by the schools going up against each other concept. I love it. And that's why I've always been mad that you can split the teams up.
Yeah.
I even have a spreadsheet that I wrote down all the people from what schools they come from and stuff, and tried to make a team for the teachers and all this stuff, so that if I ever made my Rival Schools game and forced it so that you couldn't actually split the teams up, which everybody would be mad about, but, you know, fuck you, lore, you know, respect the lore. You know, that's probably would be my answer, because I was so fascinated by that whole storyline, and it goes super deep too, because, you know, Akira's coming in there and she's trying to figure out who did something to one of her siblings and all this crazy stuff, but I didn't even care about that much part, as I just really loved the concept of having the school teams go up against each other. So that was just something that fascinated me a lot. So there you go.
Well, okay. All right. Well, I guess that's it for 5-5 matchup. Anything else to say?
Nope, that's it. And I don't know why my subject changed quickly like that. I definitely didn't do that on purpose. But anyways, okay.
Wait, what about... Paulo has a question for you.
What's that?
Check out the chat.
What if I could split the schools for teams, but it cost a consumable? Yeah, I had thought about that too. So the way that I had designed it was that, and this kind of goes into another fighting game concept that I've really wanted to implement, that I won't go into details here because I don't want people stealing my ideas. But, you know, yeah, if you could split it, then you would severely limit your team in different ways. You know, like resources would go down, or you would just not have the ability to execute some really strong mechanic. But if it's what you really want to do, you can do it. So that's how I would do it. So yeah, actually something very similar to that, Paco, for sure.
Need more fun and nonsense.
Hey, you know, Brian F. we talked about that on, remember how we talked about Brian F. saying we need more Mimi kind of content? And then I talked about how combo videos are kind of dying because of, you know, everyone only wants serious content. I did my work, and I put out a super Mimi video just yesterday. So,
okay.
And I told Brian that I did it for him too, and he said, "Oh God."
Good.
I think that video is genius, so.
All right, I'll check it out.
Okay.
Well, that's it for this part. Let's move on to game news, because there is definitely some stuff. And let's begin by talking about Soulcalibur 6.
Yes!
Haohmaru is available now.
I am so sad I have not had a chance to mess with him yet. That is a failure on my part. I definitely want to mess with him and just, you know, find out how he plays and see what all his mechanics... They even gave him mechanics from, like, old school, like, Samurai Shodown 4 stuff. You know, like the little... you hit him with the thing and you just do the button taps and he does the little super long combo kind of thing. They gave him all sorts of cool... He looks so neat. So I can't wait to mess with him a little bit, and maybe that'll bring me back into Soulcalibur as well, because the game is super fun. I really enjoyed it, and I'm sad that I don't play it anymore. But you know, maybe it'll help bring me back into the game. To be honest with you, so. But
I've often said if I didn't have Street Fighter V and Mortal 11, which I I'd be playing Calibur. That's my third for sure.
And also the game came with a bunch of balance patches as well. So they definitely changed a bunch of stuff. I haven't had a chance to go through that list particularly detailedly, and I'm so behind on the game now that, to be honest with you, I wouldn't be able to process a lot of those balance patch notes anyways.
That's why I didn't even talk about it. But yes, you're right.
Exactly. So that's basically kind of where I'm at right now. So.
All right. In Granblue Fantasy Versus, there was a trailer for Djeeta, as well as a little teaser for Zooey after that. And what do you think about it?
I'm just glad that Djeeta does it. I mean, a lot of people, when they first saw like glimpses of her, she looked like she was just going to be Gran again, like exactly. Right. She's not 100% like Gran. She's definitely like Ken to Ryu kind of thing. Yeah. So I'm glad that there's a little bit of differences in there. But, you know, it's a character that obviously has to be put into the game because she's literally, you know, the female. When you play the game, you can choose between a male or a female protagonist, and it's Gran or Djeeta. So you know she had to be put in the game. So I'm glad they kind of waited to put her in there so that they could have the better variety at first. And then now they've introduced her after they've already put in a bunch of other characters. Again, it looks like they keep getting better as they go. It's such a beautiful looking character. Animations and all like the little cutscene things that they're doing and wind poses and stuff. And yeah, so I'm excited for the character, you know, in the, hey, this character looks cool kind of way. But obviously more excited for the April patch to see how things are going to change. So
cool, dude. All right. Then in Samurai Shodown, there's a trailer for Sogetsu?
Yes, Sogetsu trailer came out, and, you know, I mean, Samurai Shodown, when it came out, wasn't the prettiest looking game. It definitely looked better than KOF 14. And it definitely had a lot of good style, and it looked good.
It had style.
Yeah, so I liked it, but, I mean, you can also tell that they're getting better at what they're doing, too. Because I think Sogetsu actually just visually looks really cool. He
definitely looks better, I would say.
Yeah, he has a good style to him and everything like that. But honestly, you know, Sogetsu coming out, you know, we already just had Mina come out. And a lot of people were mostly sad that, you know, nothing else was happening. But
that's right.
Samurai Shodown did announce that they are having a bunch of balance changes. Some pretty significant ones, too. Like some.
Oh, did they announce what they are?
Yeah, they've already released the patch notes for them. Like most of the universal overheads don't knock down anymore, so that's gonna hurt Jubei and Charlotte a little bit, and Haohmaru. Okay. But you can now do the rage burst in block. So while you're blocking things, you can actually rage burst now. Backdash no longer has any invincibility. Haohmaru has the ability to throw the dagger and then double jump out of it. So when he throws the dagger, he's not completely dead like he is right now, you know.
That's cool.
So there was a pretty significant patch change. So that was actually very happy to see. The problem obviously is, again, the Epic Game Store thing and just no news on netcode. Because the netcode, it's not even just like, oh, it's delayed netcode, so it's bad. I mean, it's bad for delayed netcode. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just not in we need situations where we can actually get the net play to work better. It's just, it's not... It's not fun. So, yeah, and it's interesting. The balance changes, obviously, there's going to be people with different opinions on them and everything like that, but it's a shakeup. And I like that. I like that for this game. It was something that people kind of wanted. Was you know, a little bit of a balance patch, a little bit of a shakeup. So I don't mind it so much. So
it feels to me, as somebody who's not playing the game, that it's changed a lot in like, well, it's been out for a little over 6 months, right? Wasn't it like June that it came out? I feel like it's had like 3 big changes.
Not really. Most of the times it's just been character balances. It's never been like game mechanics. I mean, the first patch, which we saw at EVO with 7,000 Genjuros, you know, that change was probably the biggest patch for the whole entire time. Most of the other things have just been new characters and small things.
Okay, cool.
I haven't felt like the patches have been as significant as that first one and now this one. So
sounds good.
Yeah. Why remove backdash and vulnerability? I'm not sure, Peter0611, but it usually wasn't large enough that it really made a difference anyway. So Okay.
All right. Some other news is that in Smash Ultimate, the first character of the next season of DLC will be from ARM. Who is it, James? Who's it going to be?
Did they not say who it was? Did they just?
They didn't. They just
Oh,
said it was
okay,
going to be a
okay,
character from ARMS.
okay. I mean, I hope they pick a good one, because
Well,
otherwise,
I mean, you have many favorites, I know, among ARMS.
I mean, if it's just
And
like
which one would you like to be in it?
I would like to have. What's her? I don't even remember her name now. But I'm gonna be biased towards the Chinese girl in there, right? So be cool to have the Asian in there, but that's the best I can really say. So.
You don't know anybody's names in that game, huh?
I know. Twintel is the super popular one, right?
Intel, yeah.
Yeah. I've forgotten all the names since the last time I played it, which was like 2 years ago or something like that. So.
Well, I have been furiously trying to Google to see if I can find any names of characters in ARMS, and it's just not working out. I don't know if my Google ability is not very good right now, but I went through at least a few pages, and even the Wikipedia and like a few other things, and there's squadoosh.
Right.
So.
And don't get me wrong, too. I've actually commentated ARMS before for like one of those old fighting games, locals of the world kind of things, and it was super cool. Like when I actually got to study it and learn more about it, I really enjoyed a lot of the way that the game played. But I mean, I think it's cool that they're adding an ARMS character. I think it was probably kind of only a matter of time before one of them was going to show up, to be honest.
I think it makes sense.
So.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, that'll come up at some point. There's been an announcement for DOA 6. So after some of the more DLC costumes and stuff, and a patch as well, comes out in April, no more updates for the game. They're not going to keep it going.
Interesting, because that's fast. That's fast.
It's faster than it was before, yeah.
Right. Now, is that an April Fool's thing, or is that...
I don't think so. I think that announcement came out before.
Okay.
I think that's legit.
I'm just wondering if that means that just the game just hasn't been selling well, if the DLC packs haven't been as successful as they were in DOA 5. I'm curious why that happened to the game if it's not an April Fool's joke.
No, I'm pretty sure it was announced before April Fool's.
Yeah, I mean...
Obviously, it's already April 1st in Japan, but I think this was announced a few days ago.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously that could definitely be the case, Fabnan Man, that maybe it's because they're going to release Dead or Alive 6, Last Rites or whatever,
Oh, what?
So,
wow.
Just to have some update to the game or something like that.
Last Rites, oh my god.
Just sounds like one of those dangerous subtitles, that you find to sequels.
Well, I myself would not declare a game dead, as we discussed. In Street Fighter V, big news.
Big news?
Yeah. They came out with a new game.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
I'm being serious. They came out with a new game called Neco Drop. It's called Neco Drop Cat Friends Nation.
Yes.
And in this game, which is a web game on their website at game.capcom.com, you can play as it's a puzzle game, right? So basically, you're somebody who has gone into a city full of interesting and unique cats, and you'd like to make friends with them. And so you go up to each of the cats and you play their puzzle game, and if you win, then you get to spin a little wheel, and that wheel lets you decide which treat you give the cat. And if the cat likes the treat that you give them, then they'll be your friend. And then they'll be in your little cat encyclopedia, and you can read all about them.
So it's not about actually dropping cats then, huh?
You're not dropping any cats.
Because I would drop Jasmine on my stream, because clearly I won't get banned, because that'll never happen, Abusing cats on stream never gets people banned, so...
No, I don't think it does, yeah.
No. not at all. So
I played this game for a little bit.
Was that just the sound from the game?
All right, let's mute that tab. So I played this game a little bit earlier today, and it's actually it's fun. It's a just kind of basic-ish puzzle game, nothing too fancy about it, but it's a fun game. It's a cute and sort of funny game because when you meet the cats, they're all Street Fighter characters, and they're in cat form. So, for example, you can meet Claw. Okay, that's the name of the cat, which is hilarious because cats have claws. And you could also meet C Honda.
Cat Honda?
Cat Honda. And, the characters, the little cats have all these funny little views on them.
I can't start
I can't start it. Man, for example, Tire Man is Abigail. Like,
I can't start the game. I'm clicking start and it doesn't do anything.
Well, then you'll never be able to get friends with cats, James.
Oh my god, I'm never gonna have friends with cats.
You can't be friends with the cat.
Dang it. Okay, like I said, I think my computer is just...
It's real. I'm not making it up. Yeah, it really is a game that on their website now. There's a link in the chat. Like I said, game.capcom.com is where you can find it. And each character's there, and they're all in these little cute cat forms, and it's very cute. And
it's like they took Wave's idea, the
right.
Meowville versus Catcom stuff.
And I put this on Twitter, but the Alex cat has a little description, as every cat does, and the Alex one says, "A cat that really likes to work out. He's self-conscious about his hairstyle, looking like fried potatoes."
Wow.
That's hilarious.
That's amazing.
Right?
Sorry, I lowered...
They really did a good job.
Yeah, sorry, I accidentally lowered your volume for a second because I was clicking on the button and it was super loud, so... Sorry about that. Okay, yeah. Anyways. Okay.
Big news. You can meet cats who look like Street Fighter characters.
I'm definitely going to mess with this after I reboot my computer, so...
It definitely is fun. Yeah, I played it for a little while. In other Street Fighter news, they had a supposed matchmaking update last week, and that went live right before we went live last Tuesday. And I, at the time, had a chance to play only a couple matches, and to me, it didn't really feel any different. Well, I've been playing in the week after that, and my feeling is that it sucks. My feeling is that they did a bad job.
Well, okay, so remember, it's a matchmaking patch, so it's not going to change the quality of the games.
Well, it could change the quality of the game if the matchmaking is worse. And I think that is what's happening. So my matches that I've been getting on PS4 have mostly been worse connection than there were before. No, the actual netcode of when you're playing against somebody else is the same, but if you're getting worse people's connections in the first place, then you're going to have a worse time. And that has been my experience on PS4. It's consistently been worse.
The experience,
that's a bummer.
The experience that I've been having here is that it's trying to be a little bit more accurate on who they're trying to match you with. And so I've actually just found that I've been running into the same guys over and over again. So when it was inaccurate, you would run into people who didn't have good connections with you, but that created more variety. Now I just end up playing the same people constantly a lot of the times, depending on the time of day, of course, as well. So in actual, like, my matches have mostly been stronger. I haven't run into as many. Get this. I've run into a Nash player that didn't have a bad connection. Okay. That was wild. As soon as I ran into the Nash, I was like, well, this thing didn't work. And then he had a good connection. And I was like, what? Oh, my God. And so, honestly, it has improved the overall quality of my matches. I just don't run into anybody anymore. It takes me longer to get matches. I've heard for a lot of people out there who live in areas that they're far away from people that they can't get any matches anymore. Because the change
supposed to have made it so that what was previously a 5-bar match is now a 4 to 5-bar match. So if you'd like to continue searching for the same people you could play against before, then you can just search for 4 or 5-bar matches.
Yeah.
5-bar matches are supposed to be more exacting than that. But I haven't changed it. I've been still on 5 bars, and my 5-bar connections have not been the people I was playing against before. They've been worse.
That's interesting.
I don't know why that is. I mean, maybe it's just a screw up in whatever way for how it's working for me. I don't know, but I really have time on PS4 than I did before.
It's interesting. Okay.
So that sucks. Anyway, one of these decades, maybe they'll get it right. See. I think that's it for game news. Yes, I believe it is. Okay. Did we get to everything so far? I think we did. Yeah, we talked about
we
turns
got
and
everything.
stuff.
There's just a little bit of community stuff left, I think.
Yeah, okay, so today's, well, maybe yesterday for many of you, was Trans Day of Visibility. And in that spirit, Cereblast came out as non-binary and trans. So congrats to Cereblast. That's super cool. I'm sure that couldn't have been easy to do. But, you know, they seem happy about it, and that's great.
Yeah. I mean, it's... Did you see that awesome clip of Cereblast Wake Up DP?
No.
Dude, that clip is like the best. That clip is the best because I'm not sure if they were pretending or not, but they kind of fell asleep on stream. Like, you could see they were playing, and in a match, they were like moving backwards with Ken, and then Ken just started crouching, and Cereblast is just like eyes closed. And then and the opponent's like attacking, and then they realized that Cereblast wasn't doing anything, so they threw him. Okay. They threw Ken, and they threw Ken again, and they threw Ken again, and then you can see Cereblast kind of go, like eyes pop open, and immediately get up from the floor and do an EXDP, and so everyone's like, "Wake up, EXDP!" And like
literally,
and from there, Cereblast won the match.
Oh my god! All right.
It was amazing. It was super. Oh, they were doing a 24-hour stream. Okay.
Whoa.
There you go.
Terrible idea.
But dude, it was the funniest thing because everyone's like, it was a real wake up DP, and
that is actually hilarious.
That is hilarious. Yeah. Because they literally like opened their eyes, and the first thing that came to their mind was EXDP off the ground, and it worked. Dude, so it was so great.
That's great. What I said, I didn't even know about that, but that actually makes my comment. I feel like I'm more happy with it. When she put that on Twitter, when Sarah puts that on Twitter, my response was, "Hey, I look forward to commentating for Christina's random uppercuts the next time we get to go back to tournaments." That was my response.
Yeah.
Now hearing this, I'm like,
yes, it works out. You knew all along, right? You
knew. Yeah.
No, but you know, I'm really happy for Cereblast because Cereblast showed up to Evo as Christina one year, and you know, from there they went back to being Cereblast for a long time, and I'd always wondered if it was just, you know, very difficult to do, and of course it is very difficult to do.
I imagine.
You know, and I remember one time for one of those fighting game locals things too, you know, I talked to Sarah because I was going to be commentating some of their matches on there as well, and I wanted to know about pronouns and things like that. So yeah. I'm actually really, really happy for Cereblast, and you know. Look, I love Cereblast to death. They come into my chat a lot of the times. You know, I really, really, you know, support them and how strong they are at Street Fighter. So,
for sure.
You know, wish them all the success for sure.
Absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I beat Cereblast the last time I played them on ranked. Bam!
Too soon, David. Now is not the time. No, I'm just kidding. I have yet to run into any of the known players on stream yet. I'm still running into to the golds and the platinums here. But like I said, I turned my stream into Road to Super Platinum, and I was at 8,500. Cool. And I thought it would take me a while, but here I am. In that one session, I got to 9,500. So I am definitely playing a lot better. That is not to say I won't stop complaining. like you will.
Well.
That's me, right? Like I can't
Yeah.
not do that. So I'm
Yeah.
just sitting there on chat being like, yeah, this doesn't work because Lucia, because they hate her, you know, like why is her move so stubby? Damn it, you know, like why can't I combo off of that? Like I'm gonna do that. That's just how I work. But that's the way it works. So it's all
Anyway,
good.
congrats to Cero. I think that's, you know, if there are other people who sort of that can reach and maybe have the same kind of, sort of questions going on, then my hope is that could help somebody else as well. You know, I haven't been in that position. I'm sure it's very difficult to deal with.
Yeah,
So, congrats,
absolutely.
for sure.
And, you know, that's again, shout outs, you know, to Ricky Ortiz and everybody else, you know, ahead of Cero as well, making it so that our community is more welcoming towards it and more receptive to it. Obviously, we still have long ways to go. We have long ways to go. You know, Ricky still gets, you know, stupid things in chat, and I'm sure a lot of people still give Ricky a hard time, you know. But, you know, I still feel like the FGC is better about that than a lot of other places, and we will only continue and strive to be better about it. You know, Sonic Fox obviously being a good leader for that reason as well. You know, and so
well, we have quite a few, and that's great. Yeah, I agree. It's very important to continue to make things better for even more people in the FGC. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. So,
alrighty. Well, I think that's all I got.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Okay. Yeah. And,
I'm going to enter the local tonight.
Oh, cool. Is this the Worlds Collide local online?
It sure is, man. Nice. That's gonna take place online, but it's still gonna be streamed by Commander Jesse. If you go to his stream, then you can find that. He should be starting it around now.
Well, Hi-Fi also said that Hi-Fi has released a new video as well, a new documentary between the Tokido Daigo rivalry. I believe that's the video that Hi-Fi.
Yeah, that's in my saved videos. I'm definitely gonna check that out tomorrow.
Okay, yeah.
I saw that you were talking about that today. I will definitely watch tomorrow.
So twitch.tv/ what is it? Hi-Fi.th. Is it on YouTube? Or I'm sorry, youtube.com/ what is your YouTube channel, Hi-Fi? Do you have a shortcut for it yet? Because a lot of channels don't yet, which is you know, I'm not sure what the requirement to be able to get that is or not.
Yeah, they've changed it a few times. I'm not sure what it is right now.
Okay. I think it is Hi-Fi.th. It is. YouTube.com/ Hi-Fi.th. Sorry. And there you go. So you can go to youtube.com/ Hi-Fi.th and check that video out. There you go.
Cool, man.
Okay.
All right, well, let's say we raid the Commander Jesse channel, because that actually is going on.
Okay, no problem. But before we do that, just wanted to mention that, you know, I finally went for a top tier card deck in Teppen, and I got all the way up to like 17 something. I was like 1500th ranked in the world and stuff. And so using top tier decks definitely feels good. So
it definitely does.
Feels good. But I'll tell you this right now. I'm glad because it's a more fun variant of the Zero deck. Although now everybody is coming up with counters to it. So it's actually getting a lot harder to win with that deck than it was before. So,
all right.
But again, it's just lessons for me on CCGs that the meta changes. CCGs more than fighting games. You know, the best deck affects the overall infrastructure of the tier lists more than fighting games. You know what I mean? So if, like, for example, Morrigan Shadowblade got nerfed, so no people play Morrigan anymore. So now flight decks are way more scary. And so now there's a lot more flight decks. And flight decks, while they might not be the best deck tier-wise, if you put every deck in there, they're one of the best decks right now because they fight zombie rush decks. You know, it's a lot different than it is in fighting games, and it's just one of those things I have to get used to, and it's interesting.
It's a good lesson.
Yeah, it's very, very fascinating. So, yeah.
Cool, man.
Okay. Anyways.
Alrighty.
Denjin Renki decks suck. I hate them. But anyways. Okay. Cool.
Ooh, Shodown says that tomorrow PlayStation has a spring sale and Tekken 7 is only $10. So check it out if you're interested.
Okay, there you go. Definitely pick that up if you get the chance. So.
All right, man. Want to burn them?
I'm burning them right now. It's such a burden.
Oh, by the way, I guess I also wanted to mention thanks to the people who have sent me DMs and emails lately saying that it's good to have this show still going on, even though we're all, postponed and stuck at home and stuff. I got some people saying that it was helpful to sort of maintain the normality of that, and good to hear people talking about fighting games. I mean, obviously we address the stuff, cancellations and the problems, but to also still talk about the games, they said it was very helpful, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. And we've got David right here, even though I've listed him as hologram right now, but he is definitely right here. So that's right. How's your dad?
Oh, he's doing well, thank you.
Okay,
I appreciate it.
Cool.
All good. He didn't have COVID. He might have had an influenza, but he's doing fine, thanks.
Okay, awesome. Cool. Stay safe out there, everybody. And again, look, needless to say, not to put a somber end towards this whole thing, but, self-quarantining, social distancing, it's all real. Let's all help flatten the curve. Let's all do our part to make sure that we can stop canceling events, because it's not up to the organizers. It's up to us. It's absolutely up to us to stop these kind of things. So
I agree, man.
Okay. All right. Thanks for watching, and see you guys later. Peace.